If you've ever wanted to stop switching the clocks twice per year, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back. Another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It's March 10th. We survived daylight savings time again. We're not an agrarian culture. I don't know why we keep doing this. Why can't we just figure it out and not adjust the clocks? Not thrilled about losing an hour of sleep, but us morning folk are going to get it done. Anyway, we do have a busy week coming up here. We'll see where the market goes. We lost the 200-day here in the pre-market after trying to bounce from it on Friday. Will we recapture it today? Will we go lower here today? A lot of stuff to get through. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for March 10th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back. And let's see how many folks actually got the daylight savings time correct. Every year that I have worked at Benzinga, every single year without failure, someone has reached out and said, what's wrong with the market? Why is it starting at a different time here today? So let's see how many people actually got that here today. It amuses me every year, although honestly, this daylight savings time stuff is tiresome. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you again. Reaching Financial Freedom. Welcome back as well. Peter, it's good to see you. River, welcome back. Artisan Custom Homes, good morning. Best of luck to everyone here. We'll retweet your positive action. All sorts, good morning. Welcome to a new week of who knows what. Indeed, the uncertainty is abound, and I don't see that abating anytime soon. We're going to make the most of it here. That's what we do. Jeff, good morning. Welcome back. Drew, good morning. Welcome back. Producer, boy, I feel you, man. We made it, though. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, Chuck, welcome back. Day Trader, locked in. Day Trader, how is this for you out in West Coast? Does the daylight savings time really mess with you, too? I mean, you're up early. You're out here. You got it right. Expect nothing less. Dermalog, good morning. Ed, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. 3D in the house. Ryan is always ready to go. 3D, facts. Ryan is always ready to go. Ryan plans ahead. We're locked in here, ready to go. Good to see you, 3D. Jonathan, welcome back. Ashok, welcome back. Jay Harris, welcome back. Chopped Coop. Chopped Coop, welcome back. Good to see you. Jay Harris, Steve, welcome back. Brandy, it's good to see you. Captain Cloudy, it's good to see you. Phil is back. Go up market. Phil, we'll try, man. I don't know if we're going to be able to go up here today. We'll see if we recapture that 200-day. We'll break that down here like a fraction for you. Day Trader says it's brutal because I'm a night owl. Oh, dude. If you enjoy staying up at night, charting in the dark, doing all that stuff, daylight savings time, West Coast, what are you? You're up when it's dark. I mean, oh, gosh, absolutely brutal. Hellcat, good morning. Welcome back. All right, folks, let's, it's only up from here. The way I look at daylight savings time is once we get it out of the way, each consecutive morning should be easier and easier. And you know what we can do? We can delete all of those bad feelings really quick by making some money here today. That much I'm sure of. Let's take a quick look at the market because futures are under pressure here. Anyone wants to sing that under pressure song? You go ahead. I'm not going to scare you folks away here today. Stock market futures under pressure across the board. S&P futures down 1.2% here this morning. Dow futures down 1% here this morning. And NASDAQ futures down 1.4% here this morning. Bitcoin also down 3.8% here this morning. Bitcoin over the weekend did a really good job of holding 80K. But we'll see if that continues here with the global sell-off that we're kind of seeing. If does Bitcoin move to the lows with the broader market? As far as the SPY goes here, the big level to watch here today, at least in my opinion, is going to be 572. 572 exactly represents your 200 moving average here on the daily. And again, we tried to bounce. We actually had a nice candle form from Friday's session here as we tried to bounce. We actually printed below here. The low on Friday, let me get that off the seller chart. Low was about 566-ish. We tried to bounce. But here we are in the pre-market, a little bit weak. So leading into this, obviously, we still have some concerns. We're going to talk about some of the quotes that came out over the weekend. But as far as the technicals go here, do we reclaim this at all? If we do reclaim this, is it very, very short-lived? If we reclaim this as an opportunity to maybe open up some short positions or some long vol positions to try and capture some more alpha on the way down if the SPY moves down. Lot to consider there. Ultimately, what I'd really like to see is SPY make a move towards this 552. I feel like I've been offside for a while here. I've really wanted the market to kind of move down, reset some of the valuations, and give us long-term investors and swing traders a more target-rich environment to try and find successful trades. I feel like right now you either need to hit something with news or you need to time your entry perfectly. Otherwise, your swing or your short-term trade, if it's not a day trade, the next day can be underwater. And that makes trading more difficult, no question about it. One of the things that's worked for me here, which kind of sucks, is I've really kind of dialed back my aggressiveness on the day trade front. That's caused me to not lose as much. But I know everyone, you want to be as active as possible. You want those green arrows as much as possible. So it's just a harder environment. And until we can kind of reset that, I think this is the environment that we're going to be in. So, all right, let's take a look here real quick. U.S. stocks likely to open lower after Trump hits at looming recession. This is some of the interesting comments that came out over the weekend. Experts say can't rule out a bear market as indices inch towards correction territory. So a couple of things to note. First of all, the correction territory that they're talking about, we've talked about some of these percentages before. The correction territory starts at about 10%. That's a correction. A bear market starts at about 20%. So if we use the SPY as a barometer here, we're not down even 10% yet. I've marked off the 5, 10, and 15% levels. We're down here about 7.3%. where we're currently sitting here in the pre-market. So while this is over or a higher degree of sell-off than regular trading action, we're really not at that 10% level yet. And frankly, I'd really like to see us get there. I'd really like to see if we can actually get down to that 10% and if the market is able to catch a bid. A lot of moving parts in there. So we'll see what happens here. There was one comment from Louis Navalier from the article that the producer threw in the chat here for you. While the conflict around tariffs has raised the speculation of a slowdown and a recession, Louis Navalier of Navalier and Associates had a contrarian view. According to him, quote, the anxiety over tariffs may be holding back some consumers, but I want to assure you that I do not expect most tariffs to be inflationary. As an example, the tariffs that have been imposed on China are expected to be suppressed by Chinese deflation as well as a weak Chinese yuan. So again, there seems to definitely be kind of a longer end game here for some of the tariffs and some of the different discussion and the back and forth and all of that. And that's fine. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't plan or I don't pretend to know what the administration or the people in the administration are doing. What I am going to do is I'm going to try and react to it as best I can. And I'm going to try and take a long-term approach to all of this instead of knee-jerk reactions, right? I want to make sure that I'm putting myself in the best possible position, but I don't want to overreact, and I certainly don't want to panic and do something that I regret. That's a theme that we've been following for a while here. And I want to actually keep that up. Okay, really quickly, let me talk about Bitcoin, and then I do kind of want to go back to some of this stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about the bond market. I got a story from Mohammed El-Arian that I really want to get to. He does a really good job of kind of watching the market. There's some interesting quotes in there, so we'll take a look at that. But first, let's take a look at Bitcoin here. Let me pull up the Bitcoin chart. I know that, when we first started off here, we started off just kind of more on stocks. Honestly, Bitcoin is really seeming to move more into this. It seems to be more related. I know a lot of you folks trade Bitcoin more, or at least own Bitcoin more. It definitely seems, at least anecdotally here, that even more of you that trade stocks are interested in some of the Bitcoin names. So I just feel like, especially if Bitcoin is producing some of these huge moves, it behooves us at least to cover it and chart it and try and figure out some different areas for what's going on here. Real quick, crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin crash as Trump refuses to rule out a recession. Arthur Hayes predicts Bitcoin to retest 78,000. Also, MicroStrategy's getting hit. They've got their own thing. I know a lot of folks really don't like MicroStrategy, the whole Ponzi scheme. They're obviously offering more and more to buy more and more Bitcoin. Given that Michael Saylor is a tremendous Bitcoin bull, the way I see MicroStrategy here is that as Bitcoin continues to get hit, he'll probably try and load up. He does indeed believe that Bitcoin is going much higher than 100K. And if he's given an opportunity to load up Bitcoin at a lower level here, I expect him to do that. Now, in the near term, that means bad things for MicroStrategy's price. In the long term, we'll see. Again, I don't have any MicroStrategy. It's fun to trade, I suppose, if you can catch it. Shout out to some of our group here who's done a really good job trading some options on MicroStrategy, which are actually very expensive. I'm just saying that while Bitcoin is showing some weakness, I would absolutely expect MicroStrategy to continue its strategy of acquiring Bitcoin, this time at lower prices. Now, looking at the chart here for Bitcoin, look where we are. We are bouncing a little bit. We are up off the lows here this morning, and it looks like we've actually double tested 84,000 on the Bitcoin futures chart. The Bitcoin spot price right here at about 83,000. And you can see we've actually tried to hold 80,000. We've done a really good job. The last three tests that we've had here this year, we've held above 80,000. Now, I'd love to get the opinions from the group here. Where do you folks think we're actually going to bottom? Do you think 80,000 is actually the bottom? To my eye here, it sure looks like, especially given this trend, we're actually flashing some weakness. And the blue curved line here is the 200-day that we've gone ahead and added to this chart. That's exactly where the price is sitting. So to my eye here, I definitely expect a breakdown here in Bitcoin. I expect that with the rest of the market, and I would imagine that the ultimate risk asset of Bitcoin would follow the market, if not lead the way down here. So honestly, looking at this 73.5K breakout level that Bitcoin previously put on the chart, I could see us really easily retesting that. I was actually following some of the other folks that I've been following on FinTwit for a long time. One of them, she's absolutely fantastic when it comes to charting and long-term viewpoints. She thinks 65K is where Bitcoin is going. So really, really interesting here. I would not be surprised. I think that if we take a long-term view here, we should remember what Bitcoin has done. I mean, how many people, when this thing traded up to 68K and then came all the way back into 15K, how many people were doing the victory lap of death? Bitcoin's done. It's never coming back, only to then rip to 100K and higher. So I'm expecting something similar. We'll see where we end up bottoming. What I want from the chat the most, I want to know what you folks think, where the bottom is in Bitcoin. Maybe not necessarily when the bottom is, but if we do continue a move down here, where do you think a decent buying opportunity for Bitcoin is? Don't expect you to actually buy it yourself. What I'm more trying to get a feel for here are what are people's opinion, especially as the asset starts to sell off. Do they flip from being bullish to bearish? And then ultimately on the chart, where's the spot where we can buy? That's kind of what I want to discuss here from the group. Let's talk a little bit about the news story that is accompanying this. Leading cryptocurrencies sold off Sunday as President Trump declined to rule out a possibility of a recession. The interesting back and forth there is that while Trump is not ruling out a recession, Howard Lutnick, who's made several appearances the last couple of days on some of the news programs, said that there would not be a recession, that there is a reset going on here in an effort to make the economy stronger, but there won't be a recession. I'm not going to fight over that. I'll let you folks go back and forth and determine whether or not that's going to happen, but that's where some of this back and forth has happened. Nonetheless, Bitcoin tumbled to 80,000 overnight, pulling 7% in the last 24 hours. This is the steepest drop for the apex cryptocurrency since it fell below 80,000 10 days ago. Really not all that long. Bitcoin decline sent ripples, through the rest of the market, with leading assets like Ethereum and Dogecoin going blood red just before the start of the new trading week. Over 615 million was liquidated from cryptocurrency market in the last 24 hours. Are you guys freaking out about this? Are you worried about this? Or are you looking at this as a potential buying opportunity? Tariff developments have weighed on the market, with the Dow Jones and the S&P losing 2.4% and 2.85% last week, respectively. Here's the clip of Trump saying that. Basically, what he says in this clip, I'm not going to play it here. He was asked if they expected a recession this year. He said, I hate to predict things like that. There's a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. Now, if we come down here to Arthur Hayes, who does a really good job following Bitcoin, we've quoted him a number of times in our article. This is a pretty good FinTwit follow if you're interested in Bitcoin. Quote, looks like Bitcoin will retest 78,000. If it fails, 75,000 is next in the crosshairs, Hayes predicted. There's a lot of options open interest struck in the 70 to 75,000 area. If we get into that range, it will be violent. So do you agree with Arthur? Do you think that we are going to get into that range? Do you think we're going to go lower than that range? And then ultimately, is this a buy for you, or is this a hands off? I am hoping that we do get Jamie Dimon back here this morning. I know he loves to kind of talk about Bitcoin. I'd love to hear if there's a victory lap in order here, or what's going on. Day trader here. Awesome. It's I'm going to actually put this comment on the screen, day trader. It's a major shakeout. I'm believing more and more that Trump told Powell he wants lower rates, and he'll give him the data to do that intentionally. Of all of the different theories about what's going to happen in the future, which I don't believe anyone knows, I'm willing to bet that some of the people in the administration don't even know, but that's as an aside. Of all of the theories about what's going to happen, this is the one that I find myself in the most. Absolutely. I completely agree with all of this. First of all, I think that Bitcoin, the market, it's doing a lot of major shaking out. And I think that shakeout can actually last longer than we think, right? We tend to think that maybe a shakeout here will last a month. We'll have a bad month. Seasonality will show us that we'll have a bad month, and then things will kind of turn around, or maybe a month and a half as we get into the summer. The reality is I think this shakeout can actually last a little bit longer than that, especially depending on how strong or weak some of those hands are. But I completely agree. I think this is going on in equities, and I think this is going on in Bitcoin. And also the second part here, I think you're hitting it right on the head here. I think that you heard some rhetoric early that Trump just told Powell, hey, I want lower rates. Powell said, I have a job to do. I'm not just going to listen to you. You're not my boss. I'm independent. And instead of Trump throwing a hissy fit, he says, okay, I'll just give you the data that you need. And this is part of the reset or the recalibration or the bring down. Now, I think that there's going to be some short-term pain in there, but I do think long-term, there should be some good stuff in there. I'm with you on this one completely. You versus you says temporary pain, long-term strength. Now, I know that this is the plan. I don't know if we're going to get this, but that does seem to be the plan here. A couple of more key levels here for those of you that are interested. Widely following cryptocurrency analyst and trader Dan Crypto Trades highlighted the formation of a new CME gap, suggesting a choppy and volatile trading environment. Quote, there's a new gap open to about 86,000. There's also still the gap from way before, around 77,000, which didn't close entirely the last time around. So keep an eye out for those levels this week. Here's a chart there of those different gaps. So you folks let me know. You let me know where you think Bitcoin is a buy, if it is a buy, or even if you don't think it's a buy, where do we think this is going? Where do we think some prices are here for Bitcoin? I'd love to get some thoughts on that. I added and staked more SOL over the weekend too. I get about 9% on that. This to me is one of the most attractive things about SOL is the ability to stake it. I know, like, the way I handle sell-offs in the market here over the past 6 months, and I've been talking to you folks about it, and I've also been bringing on a guest who gives us stocks that we can park our money in. I've been adding high-yield dividend stocks. If the market is really going to sell off, whatever market, whether it's equities or Bitcoin, if the market is going to sell off precipitously, then I want to get, if I'm holding on to things that I know are quality, I want to get paid to hold on to those things. In the market with equities, I do that with high yield dividend stocks. In crypto, it seems like you can do that with some select names. Now, the only crypto that I've held that's earned interest is Ethereum. SOL pays a lot more than that. So this comment also Makes a lot of sense here. Really appreciate you guys with the predictions here. HG, Bitcoin probably hit 70K. I'm with you on that. I do think it hit 70K. I got to be honest with you. Right now, I'm kind of influenced by the recent action here, maybe a prisoner of the moment, if you will. I actually think 65K is quite possible here. Tony saying Bitcoin 74K and then we rock it. Okay, that would be something. Let me tell you something, Tony. If we get that type of action, you get a pull down to that possible breakout level that we've identified, and then you start getting a rocket, like a bounce off of that starts to rocket towards the highs. I actually really think you could induce some FOMO in that trade. That could actually make it more volatile, particularly around some of those breakout levels. That would actually be something else to keep in mind. But that 74K number, good stuff there. Buffalo by Bicycle, I'm going to continue nibbling on my shopping list here today. Okay. I'm big into dividend stocks too. Most of my portfolio is dividend stocks and some growth in crypto. That's really kind of a good way to get through a sell-off, if that's what we see, or a prolonged sell-off. I think the only thing that I would add to that strategy is that it probably makes sense to keep some dry powder or some capital on the sidelines, so that if you do get a really good deal on some type of panic-induced sell-off, can actually capitalize on that for the long term. But nonetheless, that's kind of where I find myself in. Larry saying Bitcoin 49K. Okay, awesome. And Jay Harris, okay, so I'm taking long some puts in micro strategy. Actually, you know what? Real quickly here, let me go back to that. Let me go back to pro here. Just took a look at Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at strategy, and then I want to talk about TSM. Let's do MSTR. Here is strategy. Let me go ahead and put the watermark back on there for you so we can see what stock this is. Okay, here is your chart for strategy. We had a really nice bounce off the 200-day. Definitely tradable here. Congrats to anyone that hit that. Now it does look like we're kind of rolling over, and it also looks like we've really started to use some of these other moving averages as resistance. We were not strong enough off the 200-day bounce to really get above the 100-day, despite being able to kind of straddle the 20-day for a couple of days. Now we've lost that. Strategy's down here 5% here today. This does look to roll back over. I have the 200-day there at 236, so I don't think we test that here today, but I do think that that's probably where we're going next here. MicroStrategy shares are trading lower after the company announced a $21 billion at-the-market offering program to issue and sell Series A preferred stock. Remember, the whole deal here is that they're trying to buy more Bitcoin with this. If the price of Bitcoin is going down and you think Bitcoin is worth more than that, vastly more than that, I absolutely understand why this is happening. But for long side investors, probably pretty painful. So your strategy here about a put makes a lot of sense. We'll see if this does retest that 236 level and maybe snap and move beneath. Big Bees, I think I saw you here earlier giving a junkie. Okay, I thought you were mentioning something on Bitcoin, but it was more of a joke there. I got you on that. Okay, there was one more. Oh, you know what? I guess we should just go, while we're on the subject of Bitcoin, let me actually change up the order here a little bit. I did want to talk about one of the stories that I was rather amused with over the weekend here. And again, I guess I'd like to get your opinion on that. Peter Schiff, established as a personal, quote, strategic Bitcoin reserve, end quote, vows not to sell. I'm going down with the ship so others never get on board. An odd choice, an odd decision here. Clearly, this feels like a troll comment. I guess I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it definitely feels like he's trolling. In an effort to mock President Donald Trump's declaration, renowned economist Peter Schiff declared his own strategic Bitcoin reserve on Friday, promising not to sell any of it. Quote, just like the U.S. government, I'm developing a budget-neutral strategy for acquiring my Bitcoin at no incremental cost, parentheses, to me. Schiff said, taunting the Trump administration's plan for acquiring more Bitcoin. Schiff also posted the address of the so-called reserve and invited contributions from his followers. So this looks like kind of a dressed up grift, right? This reminds me of the folks on College Game Day that go there with signs that have their PayPal or their Venmo at the bottom. It says, I need money for books. They don't sell books at the bars, it turns out. Nonetheless, Peter Schiff looks like he's trying to take advantage of this. It's quite tongue-in-cheek. I'm actually amused at this. But no, I didn't send him any Bitcoin. Nope. Schiff clarified that none of the Bitcoins in the reserve will be sold. I will show why Bitcoin reserve is a bad idea. I'm going down with the ship, so nevers get on, or so others never get on. Excuse me. Now, this part I find amusing too. According to on-chain data, the address had 0 Bitcoin balance as of this writing, with the entirety of the received stash worth 4,452 USD transferred to a different address. So we'll see if Peter Schiff's example here has any teaches anybody anything. Curious to hear what you folks think about this. What's up, Sideshow? Good to see you. Jonathan, HD Hoods, You versus You, Wakasabi. Hello. What do you think of Bitcoin targeting 65K? I think that's great. I actually would, like I said, I would convert more fiat to Bitcoin if we did get a sell-off like that. I don't have a huge portion of my investments in Bitcoin, so adding to this, really not all that big of a deal for me. So far, since my very first ad, it's more than 10x. So not really upset about that. Anyway, that's Bitcoin. I think we probably spent a little too much time here on Bitcoin. Next, I really want to talk about TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor. Taiwan Semiconductor rides the AI wave. Sales surged 39% in the first 2 months of 2025 on higher demand. TSM reported on Monday that its February 2025 revenue rose 43.1% to $7.99 billion. And there's also some conversions in here, but I'm just going to stick with the U.S. numbers. The company's sales declined by 11.3% monthly as its January sales stood at $8.9 billion. Compared to the first 2 months of 2024, sales rose by $39.2 billion as the revenue increased by $12.09 billion. The Taiwanese company is a major supplier of U.S.-based chip maker, or a U.S.-based chip maker NVIDIA, and it recently announced that about $165 billion of investment in the U.S. for the power to power the future of AI. So seems like the AI bubble not necessarily done, but definitely seems like it's pulling back here. Taiwan Semiconductor with some pretty good numbers here, at least on the surface. Stock here down 1.93% here in the pre-market, down just over $3.50. Or just about $3.50, excuse me. The big thing that I wanted to mention here, what do you folks think of this as a potential trade? We're sitting right here at about 174. So it looks like we're about to retest this near-term double bottom that we have on the chart right here. We did lose the 200-day, and when we tried to recapture the 200-day, we were rejected. Generally speaking, this is a really good short entry signal on a chart, especially when the overall trend here is down. By the way, since we've begun talking here, S&P futures, really the futures across the board, have started to move lower now. S&P futures down 1.41%. NASDAQ leading the way down 1.65%. So actually a little bit weaker than we were when we first signed on here. So where do you think TSM goes here? Part of me thinks that we got a couple of levels beneath here, got about 156, 157-ish. And then ultimately this 134 area, this represents the low that printed on the yen carry trade unwind about midway through last year. So Taiwan Semiconductor, despite some good news, looking at the chart here, sure seems like this wants to roll over a little bit more. If we're going to invalidate this entire pattern, I think we really do need a recapture of the 200-day at 184 this week. I think if we don't get it this week, lower we go here. Ultimately, we have the 500-day down here, 137 on ticker TSM. Okay, one more piece of news here on a technology stock that I wanted to get out of the way. Then we'll go through some comments. We can also take a look at some of the charts that you folks want. We're definitely going to look at Tesla today. Tesla here on the pre-market lows. Apple sold off a little bit. We're going to talk about Apple too. We can take a look. We're going to have plenty of time here this morning to look at movers and any of the stocks that you folks want. So no worries there. Real quickly here, the other piece of news, Palantir joins the S&P 100 after an AI-driven rally. Stock surge almost 60% since Trump's victory. Palantir Technologies will join the S&P 100 index. S&P Dow Jones indices announced on Friday as the data analytics firm continues its remarkable post-election rally. Love this stock because it's made a lot of people in our community money, and I'm looking forward to another opportunity for that. Palantir is proud to be admitted to the S&P 100. Onwards, they tweeted this in a statement yesterday. The Denver-based company will replace Dow in the effective index on March 24th, coinciding with the quarterly rebalance. Intuitive Surgical and ServiceNow will also be joining the S&P 100. Kraft and Ford Motor Company removed from the S&P 100. Palantir has emerged as a top-performing S&P 500 stock since President Trump's November election victory, surging nearly 60% to 84.82. This represents an annualized return exceeding 184%. So I know Palantir, big popular stock amongst us. Really nothing's changed here with the stock story for me on Palantir. I guess I'd love to hear from the group if anything's changed for you. We're still expecting a sell-off. I'm expecting more downside in a lot of our markets, the SPY, Dow, and also the crypto market. I'm expecting more of a down move here. For me, nothing's really changed. I'm still interested at nibbling on Palantir at 60. I'd absolutely love for this to get down to the 200-day, and better still, if we can break the 200-day and recapture in short order, giddy up. I'm encouraged at how far away we are from the 200-day. If we really kind of kick off this sell-off and we really do move down, I think these things can happen pretty quickly. But I think Palantir might actually find some support around that $51 level. Now, I will say, if you think Palantir is still too expensive and you thought it was expensive at 10 or 15 bucks because you were buying it at 6 when it made sense, I totally understand. Forward PE on Palantir still 147. So if you think valuation basis makes a lot more sense, and a lot of these stocks are going to reset some of their multiples and come in to more traditional multiples, well, Palantir has a long way to fall just on a forward PE basis here. So I'm definitely looking for 60. I would definitely nibble there. I want more Palantir for a long-term hold in the long-term portfolio. In a portfolio like that, I would definitely dollar cost average as opposed to just shooting a cannon of cash at it. But I'd love to know what you folks think here on Palantir. Palantir is a buy at any level, says Buffalo by Bicycle. Okay, so you're not even waiting for this to sell off. You're just buying it at any time. BLBX news on merger. Let's just do that then real quick. Let's go to some breaking news here real quick. Black Box Stocks, you're saying, is news on a merger here. Let's see what's going on. The stock's up 40%. Black Box Stock signs definitive merger agreement to acquire rare earth producer Realloys. Okay. Black Box stock holders to retain approximately 7.3% of the company's common shares post-merger. I don't know this other Realloys. What does this company do? Rare earth magnets. Realloys, America's first initiative focused on providing critical rare earth magnets and alloys for U.S. national defense stockpiles. Interesting. Gotta say, this one was not on my bingo card here today. Not something that I was looking for. You folks will have to let me know what you think about this. Let's take a look at the actual stock itself here. Black Box Stocks did pop as high as 6. It's really kind of retraced some of this. Yikes. We'll see if we get a trade here. This is one that we've traded off of the movers tool before. I feel like we were trading this back at the end of January. Ticker BLBX. Looks like that's moving here on some breaking news. Okay. Okay, real quick, we took care of Palantir. I did want to talk about this here real quick. I don't want to spend so much time on this because it's actually kind of depressing, to be quite honest with you. Mark Zuckerberg making more headlines now. Boy, oh boy, this guy wavers with the wind, it seems. Mark Zuckerberg offered China full censorship control and user data access, says Meta whistleblower, quote, working hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party, end quote. None of this reads very well at all. And I'll tell you what, it just makes him look bad. In my opinion, it makes him look bad. It makes him look like all he's doing is really kind of going wherever the political winds are going. The the appearance on Joe Rogan, while there was some decent stuff in there about Apple and Facebook and how the companies interact and all of that, really just kind of seems like he was trying to ingratiate himself with a group of people that might not have thought too highly of him. Remember, in that interview, Rogan caught him in a pretty bad lie and exposed him in a very classy way. Anyway, what happened? In a whistleblower complaint filed with the SEC in April, Sarah Wynne Williams, Meta's former global policy director for China, made these allegations. She stated that the company, formerly Facebook, developed a China-specific censorship system in 2015 and proposed installing a chief editor to manage and potentially shut down content during periods of social unrest. So basically, when you need it the most, you were going to shut it down. Unreal. The 78-page whistleblower complaint reviewed by the Washington Post claims Meta was prepared to give the Chinese Communist Party oversight of all Facebook content in China and store user data locally, making it more accessible to government surveillance. So I know there was a lot of fear about what TikTok can do. Maybe some of that was misplaced as Meta here looked to be offering some of this, kind of help out with some of this. One of the top priorities for President Trump in the West Wing is winning this AI critical race. And yet for many years, Meta has been working hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party, briefing them on the latest technological developments and then lying about it. Part of me wonders if any of this came in DeepSeek here. So, I think the rest of this is probably going to be speculation. I know that Mark Zuckerberg is very polarizing. Some people love him. Some people hate him. I don't think this is going to change anything. Definitely concerning to see that there was going to be somewhat of an expedited pipeline into China's censorship program. Yikes. Okay. Close the Big B is saying close the Facebook account. So one of the best things I ever did years ago was closing my Facebook account. Never really used it for anything. And it didn't really provide any value. And now, years later, seeing everything that transpired, I mean, I know hindsight is 2020, but years later, boy, it sure looks like I was on the right side of that when I had done that earlier. So, okay, that's what's going on with Facebook here. Last story that I really, you know what we should do, actually? I guess we should take a look really quickly at Meta's chart. I know with the market moving down here, maybe we're in a position here on Meta. Okay, so Meta here down 2.75% here today, down to about 608. This has us giving up the 100-day moving average. I've got the 200-day moving average here at 567. I'll tell you what, this stock has pulled back towards that 200-day a number of times. Every time has presented a buy. The last time we were under this, we actually gapped above on earnings on the beginning of February of 2023. This stock hasn't been back to its 200-day in over 2 calendar years. Just an absolutely massive run for Meta. I got to say here, I've been wrong. Let's just admit it. I don't think Meta is worth this much. I think it's obviously got some problems there. I have been wrong on Meta for pretty much the entirety of 2024. Now we'll see if justice is coming for whatever that's worth. We'll see if Meta actually trades back down. Look at this move that Meta has made off of the bottom printed in November of 2022. Stock was just under $100, split adjusted down here at about $89. And that is that is a 6x increase in just a couple of years. Just an absolute monster run for Meta. We'll see where this pulls back if this does give a buying opportunity. Meta is not a stock that I own just because of my own personal feelings for the stock. I feel like that clouds my judgment when it comes to the trade. Not one that I'm interested in, but I'd love to hear if you folks are trading this or have ideas on how to trade this, whether it's the short or the long side or whatever it is. Definitely want to hear that here. Okay. Bull God saying, are we about to witness a bloodbath Monday? So let's go back here to the SPY chart real quick, because I know exactly what you're asking here. Here's what we're looking at. While we're here, we might as well take a look at some of these levels, right? First of all, are we about to witness a bloodbath Monday? Well, it definitely could happen. we could gap down here. It could really kind of freak some people out. If the market doesn't catch a bid the entire day, I would imagine that would continue to accelerate into the afternoon. And then you might also be looking at another situation where we gap down again tomorrow. By the way, we have the JOLTS job openings tomorrow as an economic print in the morning prior to the market opens. So maybe we do just kind of have weakness or sell off into that print and see what happens at that print. The other thing that I want to bring up here, though, Bull God, is that one of the things that we've watched recently, some of the pattern that we've seen recently, is that when the market is weak in the pre-market, it tends to catch a bounce near midday. And the inverse is true. When the market is strong in the pre-market and flashing some green arrows in the pre-market, we tend to roll over. We tend to weaken in the regular session and then retest some of those lows. So given what we see here today, we're definitely weak here. This pre-market pretty much across the board. Would not be shocked. Would not be shocked if we end up gapping down. A key level to watch here today is going to be the intraday low from Friday. I've got that at 565 and change. Let's just call it 565 and 3/4. If we break that here, what might be the next level down? So let's take a look at that here real quick. Let me zoom in. Sorry about that. Let me zoom in here. There we go. So the low that I'm talking about is the candle low from Friday. I really think that if we break this candle, and that also is from some of those other lows in the past, I really think we're probably going to look for about 562 right in here. Okay, so 565 and 562 are going to be the two downside levels that I'm really watching here today. You can add some cents on the end of those, but those are the basic general areas here. The other thing that I'll say is about this move down, although it's been pretty nasty in totality, the reality is that every day that this has happened, it's been fairly orderly. Someone was mentioning the VIX print earlier here. The VIX is currently at 26.5 right now. Now, that is elevated, no question. We've seen a pretty consistently elevated VIX above 20, and I would imagine, given some of the rhetoric coming out of the administration and everything that's going on, that VIX is likely to stay in that. I don't necessarily foresee a 15 or an 18 VIX handle anytime soon until something changes here. But this is fairly orderly. You could see some pretty nasty sell-offs that happen quicker than that. And like we had talked about before, I know we've talked about this on Happy Hour. Pretty sure that we were talking about this also on the morning program here. There is some tremendous open interest in some of these VIX calls. That's ticker VIX. Notably, the 35 call for April, 223,000 contracts held in the open interest. In the same expiry, the April expiry, the 40 and 42.5 call each have over 200,000. And there's even a 200,000 plus at the 75 call. So there's definitely some upside VIX bets. The open interest is telling us that it is fairly significant at levels that are pretty elevated from where we're at now. I mean, VIX would really have to double from here to really print for some of those. So we'll see here. I do think if this really starts to accelerate, I actually think we could get to this 10% level pretty quickly. And while that would scare people in the moment, at the end of the day, I really feel like if we're on a significant pullback here, the quicker we pull back, the quicker we bottom, the better it's going to be for people. I know it's hard to believe, especially in the moment when all the stuff's getting slaughtered, but long-term approach. I do think if we do that, if we pull back to some of these levels quickly, that would actually set up for a good move higher here. Okay. I believe Meta 875 next year, not overvalued. Look, that's what makes the market. And frankly, if you had been listening to me at the end of 2023, you'd have missed out on a huge run on 2024. So while I have a different opinion than you, respect across the board. That's just how it goes. James is saying, should I pull out of the market until April and May? James, we are not financial advisors here. We cannot advise what you do, nor are we licensed to trade your account. I would say that if you have questions about making gigantic portfolio moves like that, your money would absolutely be well spent hiring a financial advisor. Get someone that is looking out for your best interest. James goes on to say, most Mag 7 look cheap in terms of PE. We're getting there. I still think there's some more room down, but we are getting there. Remember, semiconductors traditionally had single-digit forward earnings multiples. Those are up in some cases 20 to 30 right now. So there is some more room to move down. Wakasabi says, I'm going short until May. There you go. Easy Java says, if recession comes, Mag 7s can be cheaper. And this is, I completely agree with that. This is one of the things that I'm looking for here. I would love to be able to buy some of these quality companies a little bit cheaper. Here, let's talk about one that reported earnings last week. Let's talk about Costco. You guys hear me make jokes about Costco all the time. It's my absolute favorite store. Was just there this weekend to tell you what, none of the people in the store seem to care about the stock moving down. Nonetheless, here, we actually lost the 100-day. We're currently sitting at about 953. That's going to be right in here. I would not be terribly surprised if we came into 911, which is the 200-day. I'm not saying that for sure we're going to get there. Again, Costco, very much like Meta, last time this thing has been anywhere near its 200-day was back in 2023. This thing has made a really, really good run. And every time it's come into the 100-day, it's bounced. That's where we're at right now. So factor that into your trading plan. But I'll say this, if we come into that 911, I would absolutely be looking to add at that point. No question about it. Would definitely be looking to add here. I'm in Costco for the long term until I decide that something is really, really different here. Not going to change anything. Not going to change anything, at least for my outlook here for Costco. Okay. So interesting here. Easy Java saying cost got too much exposure to China tariffs. I actually push back on that a little bit. And what I'll do here is I'll actually give you the article that we had here. Let's actually go to that. Here it is. This was from last week. We actually gave this out. There was one comment in here that I want to bring your attention to real quick. Let's see if I can find it. I can't find it in here. Was it a different one? Yes, it was a different article. I'm sorry. I screwed up there. I gave you the wrong article. Let me give you the correct article here. That one was actually a recap of its earnings, but here's the one that contains the quote. Here you go. So let me go ahead and give you the correct link here. Here you go. When asked, Ron Vakris, the president and CEO of the membership-based retailer company, when asked, he said, when it rains on everyone. And he goes on to say here, the CEO reiterated that Costco will continue to rise to this challenge by leveraging the global buying power, strong supplier, and relationship innovation. Quote, our goal is to always be the first to lower prices where we see opportunities to do so, and the last to increase prices in the face of rising costs. Okay. The management also explained how its merchandise flexibility with its treasure hunt approach allows them to readily replace or substitute items if necessary, offering some buffer against tariff impacts on some goods. So the point that you're bringing up there about the exposure to China tariffs is completely accurate, and it's a good point. However, it is also worth noting here that the C-suite executives, particularly for this company, seem to have a plan and seem to be executing on that plan. Furthermore, they seem confident that this isn't necessarily going to be a huge, huge pull on them. That, I would say, would be bolstered if they are short-lived. So again, just giving you a couple of things to look at here as it stands with Costco. It's a really good point. I'm still a buyer down here at the 200-day. Okay, folks, it's 10 minutes to 9 here. It's Monday. Let's go ahead and bring on 13 and see how we're doing. 13, how are you, man? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. Let's see, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you pretty. It's like you're sitting in the room, dude.
Yeah, I had a good weekend. I actually finally went to Texas Roadhouse and tried that place out. pretty good.
How
Steaks.
was that?
It was pretty good steaks. I mean, it looked like I was walking into like an Outback Steakhouse, and I had my expectations tempered, but the food was really good.
Okay. Well, there we go. The Texas boy giving you a positive report on Texas Roadhouse. Pretty good. All right, 13. Is there anywhere that you want to start today? I've touched no movers here. We survived, or at least we've seemed to survive daylight savings time. Where do you want to start here this morning? Any particular charts, any particular stocks at all?
That must be why I'm a little off with daylight savings times. But anyway,
you're not alone, brother.
We can go wherever you want. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I think what we should do, let's do some of the movers.
Okay.
They might change as we get closer. So if we need to revisit the movers shortly ahead of the open, we can do that as well. And then we can also then save time here for charts that y'all folks want to see. I think we've talked about some of them already. Tyler wants to take a look at Rigetti. Okay, so here, let me actually start adding some of these stocks here real quick.
Yeah, I mean, you already talked about like Redfin getting acquired by Rocket.
So no, I didn't. I did not talk about that one here today. You know what? That's a really good point. Let's just start with that, and then we'll roll into the rest of the movers because that is actually on the movers list. I was hoping Hustle and Bustle was going to be here this morning. He might have got nabbed by the daylight savings time. We'll go to you for what you think here, what this means for real estate. And I got my fingers crossed that happy hour has more of our real estate experts in them. Nonetheless, the news that 13 is referring to here, ticker RDFN, Redfin. Redfin shares are trading higher after Rocket Companies announced it will acquire the company in an all-stock transaction valued at $12.50 per share. Now, a couple of things here. This stock was about $5-6 at the close here on Friday, so this represents 100% premium. Is in reference to the closing price on Friday. Excuse me. The stock is at $9.86 here. So we're a couple of bucks off of that buyout price there of $12.50. I guess this represents the chance that this deal doesn't go through here. On the flip side of that, Rocket, ticker RKT, this is down about 14.5% here. This is actually taking another leg lower from when I looked at this news here this morning. So 13, what do you think about the transaction here first? What does it mean for the companies? And then I guess after that, let's talk about whether or not either of these stocks make suitable trades.
Well, my takeaway from this is that Redfin's getting bailed out here because their balance sheet doesn't look great. Got a lot of debt. So that's one of the reasons why Rocket's down is because they're picking up a company that's not really doing too well. The all stock deal, $12.50 a share, so it's trading down. I guess if you want to try and trade that for a little bit of the range between where it is now and that $12.50, that's up to you. For me personally, I don't have any interest in trading this. The deal is supposed to close in the second or third quarter of this year. So if you decide you're going to pick it up and try to trade it for the actual deal going through, that's about how long you'll be waiting, probably even longer, depending on what kind of hurdles it has to jump over through regulation. But this transaction, if you own Redfin, the conversion rate is 0.7926 for every share of Rocket you'll receive. And it's the only other thing is the size of Redfin, which is 105 million shares, so a little bit larger if you're still looking to trade this. Folks, there's better things out there, in my opinion.
And so this, to me, feels like they're just Rocket is just kind of buying revenue, right? They're buying the customers here from Redfin. Redfin's balance sheet didn't look all that great. The way that you handle this is you just kind of roll the company up. You think long term this is a positive for Rocket at all?
I really can't say. I'm not that well connected into real estate to know, how. I know Redfin was a very important company, but I just don't know how this merger really, causes the dust to settle up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. And again, this is exactly why I wanted to talk to some of the real estate experts that we had. And we'll continue to do that and bring that to you. If any of you have any opinions here on Rocket or Redfin or what this means going forward, maybe even some sympathy plays like Zillow, for example. Zillow down 4% here this morning. I guess I'm not really surprised, given what we just saw here. Anyway, if you have any thoughts on that, would love to hear it. I'll bring you any update as we get it. But that's what's going on. RDFN and RKT. Okay, you want to go through the rest of these movers here?
Sure. Let's do it.
Redfin, this was at the top of the list. We just discussed it. The next one here, CKPT, and this also a buyout. So some mergers and acquisitions here this morning. Checkpoint Therapeutics shares trading higher after Sun Pharma announced it will acquire the company for $365 million deal. This was a $250 therapeutic stock that is $4 here on the buyout. Neither of these companies are ones that I covered. Did you have anything on this? Maybe a sympathy play or anything?
Unlike Redfin, I really don't think there's anything here at all. Like, Redfin might provide some movement, but I don't think this one's going to provide really any.
Okay, so
I just wrote, oh, it's an acquisition, and moved on.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Immuno-oncology biopharmaceutical company in the U.S. This was obviously a pre-revenue company, so maybe they're just rolling this up for some type of technology here. Like you were just saying, 13, no trade on this one here. Okay, next we do have BDRX. This is Biodexa Pharmaceuticals. Now, I know that we've traded this ticker here before off the relative volume scanner, if nothing else. BDRX here, we're actually up 50+% here. Stock was $3 on Friday, printed 5 here in the pre-market, although it's come back in a little bit. Here's your news. Biodexa announces successful outcome of a Type 3 meeting with FDA regarding its phase 3 program in ERAPA and FAP. So it announces the outcome of a Type C meeting with the FDA regarding the phase 3 program for one of its drugs, clears the way to finalize a phase 3 protocol and recruit sites for the U.S. Quick look around the horn here on BDRX, 7% of the float shorted. That was actually a big bump up from earlier in February, so that was fairly notable. Now we see a pop here today. Only one day to cover, so it's not as if this is a huge short interest, but again, there is some of that float shorted here, and it is a low float stock. Float here, 668,000 shares in the float. This one might be on deck here today. 13, you got anything on this one?
This one we have traded several times before, and it's one of those that just moves on almost anything. So this outcome of a Type C meeting, this is just part of the process for getting the approval to move forward with your your site and what the protocols of the study are. So it's not like this is actual phase 3 results. This is just the process of a part of the process for getting ready to conduct phase 3 clinical trials. Now, this clinical trial is supposed to be they're hoping that this starts in the next quarter. So Q2 is supposed to. We might end up seeing BDR at the next headline. BDRX initiates phase 3 for study of whatever their drug is that they're that this news is on. I didn't dive into it that much because this is the one that moves on anything. And here you have the low float, so any little piece of news is just going to send this. So you have a future headline coming up in the form of phase 3 initiation. And I don't exactly know what date that is, but it's going to be looking like next quarter. As far as what we can do for a trade today, this thing, this is one of the more recent movers. Like it just got going in the past 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes actually. So all I have for you right now is upside targets where this could end up running to, because this is just getting going, and it might be one of the better movers today. So one of the things I'll be watching for as we head towards the open is how well this holds up above its VWAP, which it currently is above right now. And if it does, then I'd be looking at the 470 level to provide support. Right now, we're slightly beneath it, but that's one of the resistance levels that I have when I look left, followed by 530 and 650. So those will be the upside levels I have for this one once we open.
Okay, I'm just going to mark these off on my chart just in case I need to come back here. You said 650?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here. Drawings, save, March 10. All right, there we go. BDRX. Okay, good stuff there on BDRX. Let me go back here and make sure we didn't miss anything on the news. Nope. got all of that. There was nothing on the insiders to show. Nope. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Let's keep cranking here. The thing splits. That was the one other thing I wanted to cover here. BDRX. This has done reverse splits in the past, although it doesn't look like it's abusing them. Looks like about once a year here. Last one was done in 2024, 1 for 25 on that. So, okay. Good stuff there. BDRX. Let's see if we can get there. It's our 5-minute chart.
Yeah, those reverse splits is one of the reasons why you have that 668,000 share float.
Yeah, no question. Okay, good stuff there. Next is going to be TRVI. This is Trevi Therapeutics here. Trevi Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported top-line results from its phase 2A river trial for Haduvio for RCC, which met its primary endpoint here. So getting some data there, plus 45% here. Real quick look around the horn, 7% of the float is shorted here with days to cover of 8.59. So do have some squeeze potential here. We also are expecting earnings in the next couple of weeks. However, the company has not confirmed this date. So the estimate here in Pro is just that. It is an estimate, estimated for the end of March here. Float 62 million shares, so much thicker than some of the other stocks that we've traded here. And then also Needham today, raising its price target from $8 to $25. D. Boral maintained to buy and maintained its existing $21 price target. 13, you have anything here on TRVI?
I didn't cover this one, but I'm looking at the news feed, and it looks like yesterday there was a headline that they were going to share top-line results this morning then in a webcast conference. So we got about a 12-hour, a little bit more than a 12-hour notice that this was going to have this news. And here we are. So I didn't really cover this one. I don't know anything about it. 62 million shares in the float. Just going to the technicals, since if this continues to push up, we'll try and trade this. Currently over $6. So where does that put us here? So we've actually taken out the highs from earlier this month. I don't know exactly or last month. I don't know exactly what it was running on. Must have been some good news, but we are going back to 2020 levels now, as far as I got here on my broker. So let's see here. Bear with me while I get a level for you. It looks like 675 could be another interesting level. Should we get up there? And let's see, maybe 720. I don't know.
So basically, we still have some more room to run. Despite this stock being 46%, we do have some possible upside targets on this.
Yeah. I think there it is, and then six would be a strong support area. That was a pretty big resistance to get through. So now that we're through it, because look, you can even tell from the price action this morning, there was one attempt to get through that $6 area, and it was rejected, and then the second attempt pushed through it. So $6 is a pretty strong support level, pretty important support level as well. So that'll be one watch for as we head towards the open.
And I got 585 here as your VWAP 2 on a potential pullback there. So we'll see if that holds. All right. Good stuff there. Next is going to be MLYS, Mineralese Therapeutics. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. Mineralese Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported top-line data from its pivotal Launch HTN Phase 3 and Advance HTN Phase 2 trials of its drug that I'm not going to pronounce for hypertension. Both trials met the primary endpoint. So you're getting multiple positive endpoint data here for multiple trials. The stock was about $10 on Friday, did pop in the after hours on Friday, but really taking another leg higher today on some pretty substantial pre-market volume, at least so far. Now, I will say we've really started to weaken here in the pre-market. So for me, at least on this 5-minute chart that I'm looking at here, I've got the 65 EMA at 1322. We're at about 1375 here. Again, kind of off this nasty pullback. For me to trade this one, I would definitely want this to kind of firm up here. 13, I'm interested in what you make of this, if anything, but I really want to see this kind of firm before I take a risk at it. Quick look around the horn here. 5% of the float shorted with 6 days to cover. With the positive news here, maybe this could be a little bit squeezy. And the float here about 34 million. So 13, what do you got on ticker MLYS?
Well, the first thing I want to see here is this recapture $14. That was a pretty important support area in my view. when you look at the price action it had on Friday and the after hours versus what we got this morning. So it was putting in some highs on Friday, like $13 and $14 highs. So I'm kind of leaning on those as support areas if we continue to move down, in addition to some of the EMAs. So right now it's slightly beneath 14, looking to recapture it. So that's one thing I want to see. As far as the news goes, phase 3 and phase 2 data. But the one thing I saw, excuse me, from the news I was reading is that the one that was in phase 2, the advanced HTN, that also has more data coming on March 29th when the company does a conference, I believe. So there's a future headline coming for this one as well. But as far as today go, and they also have enough cash for about 3 to 4 quarters. So I don't really think that there is any risk of them needing to raise capital. Doesn't mean they won't, but I don't think that they have any real need to right now, at the very least today. But as far as trading this goes, I want to see it get back above the $14 area, and if it does, then we can watch or try to trade it back as it makes its way back up towards its VWAP. Because I think if we do hold 13 or 14, the price is going to try to attempt to recapture the VWAP as well.
Okay, good stuff there. MLYS, this one in the teens here too. The price here is in the teens. This one might be wild here today. Again, really want to see this firm up and confirm that it's looking to go back to the upside here before trying to trade it. ATCH, Atlas Clear Holdings. Looks like this had kind of a wild morning here. We popped in the after hours on Friday, popped again pretty big here up towards 3 in the pre-market. But we've given back almost everything now, really kind of pulled and lost the VWAP here. Let's take a look and see if we have any news here. We did get that PR on Friday here. They gave a stockholder update. Now, I haven't gone through this, though, but at quick glance here, company issued a press release citing that at least 10% of the company's debt was satisfied through conversions. They're making some progress there. To date, 7.5 million of the convertible debt has been satisfied through conversions, representing approximately 50% of the convertible debt originally accepted at DesPac, more than 23% of total debt. So looks like they're updating here. They're trying to resolve some debt issues. This initially popped. Looks like it's kind of come back in here. Again, quick look around the horn here. 4% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover and a float of about 1 million. Do you have anything here? Do you make anything of this at all?
I didn't cover this one, and looking at the chart, it's, to your point, not looking great, but it is seemingly getting a little bit of a bounce off of a consolidation area from last week. I really don't know how much we're going to get out of this one, but I would say that for now, if it holds above 160, maybe there's a trade back up to VWAP, but I would temper my expectations with this one. I don't really think there's going to be a whole lot here, but that 150 to 160 area does look kind of interesting. So if we are going to get a turnaround, I would think it happens probably somewhere in there.
Okay. We'll see if we end up getting. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of going to wait some of these out here this morning. Yeah. Nothing really jumping off the screen here. I mean, maybe MLYS if it firms up, but we're going to be patient. All right. Next here is going to be ticker VRN. This is Veren. Hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Veren shares are trading higher after the company announced a $15 billion strategic merger with Whitecap to form a leading oil producer here. So, you got anything on this one, 13? I know that this looks like this is up 20% here. It's a strategic merger, but it looks like it's still trading here today. We're going to combine. Is this changing tickers? I guess I need to look into this a little bit more. I didn't cover this one earlier here today.
I didn't either. And if my broker's right, I don't know that I'm really interested in this one for one of these day trades, especially out of the open. It might provide some, but if the float is over almost 600 million shares, like my broker is telling me, it's a little bit heavy.
Here we go. I just did some skimming here. Sorry to cut you off. The companies have entered into a definitive business combination agreement to combine in an all-share transaction valued at approximately $15 billion, inclusive of net debt. Under the terms of the agreement, Veren shareholders will receive 1.05 common shares of Whitecap for each Varen shall hold. So this is looks like both of these are Canadian companies. The combined company will be led by Whitecap's existing management team under the Whitecap name, with 4 Varen directors set to join the board of directors, and it's going to close before May 30th. I'm not even sure there's going to be a trade here. Wisdom saying it's Canadian, no thanks. Look, we trade our Canadian stocks when they provide good setups. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say maybe, but I don't know that this is really interesting for a trade this morning. I mean, the float is very heavy. It's almost 600 million shares, so it may not go on the run that we like to see, or it may not have these massive upside moves. They're going to keep it on my radar, but my expectations are also lowered for this one.
Yeah, I was going to say keep it on your radar there, but maybe nothing. A quick look here at some other movers. HMR popping here. Don't really see a whole lot. Heidmar Maritime Holdings, don't know much about this. Not sure there's anything going on here. And SNOA, which we've also traded off of the relative volume scanner. No fresh news. That stock popping 16%. So that's about all I got for some of the movers here. Did you have anything I missed, 13?
Well, just looking at what HMR does, that's a dry bulk and tanker shipping company. It looks like.
So, are we on the shipping theme yet? We talked about that a little bit in Happy Hour last week. I'm not sure if I'm fully there yet.
We did, and that's why when you said what the company's full name was, it kind of my ears perked up a little bit. Like, oh, so maritime, huh? That's actually getting some attention. So we might be onto something there with when we're looking at shippers. So maybe this is we pay attention to what this does, but it could be a theme. Going to the next quarter.
Okay. Real quick here. By the way, seeing a headline come across the wire here. Witkoff says, quote, expect substantial progress on Ukraine this week.
Okay.
So I know that's a little vague, but that's out there floating around. Okay, good stuff. Jay, good morning. Good to see you here. Mentioning our favorite shipper, largely because of you, 13, mentioning Zim here. Zim, of course, does report earnings here on Wednesday before the market opens. Zim actually above a 20 handle here.
Yeah. I think I have 2380 still marked off here as a resistance area. That resistance coming in from the 20, like over the summer of last year, it was putting in a triple top, and 2380 was where that top was, and then we finally broke above it in September. We went back and forth a lot, but that's still a big resistance area. So we're trading up to that. We'll see if we even get there before Wednesday, the Wednesday earnings report. Also Wednesday, CPI comes out. So
yep,
lots of fun stuff coming
tomorrow. CPI on Wednesday.
Fun stuff.
And here's a trend line that really kind of jumps off the page at me for Zim. This would be currently in an uptrend here. It looks like we just recently bounced off this trend line. So, okay, good stuff. Good stuff there. Let me flip over to we did have two stocks. Let's see. We've got plenty of time here. Plenty of time until we open. There were two stocks that were mentioned here earlier by the chat. We'll go ahead and start with Rigetti. I know the quantum names have been a big theme for us recently. They've also made for some pretty good trades as well. Let's see. Oop, clicked a little too soon there. Sorry about that. Here's your Rigetti chart. One of the things that we've done recently was a hold of the 100-day and then a move back through the trend line. The $64,000 question here for me on Rigetti is, does this hold? Or do we end up breaking beneath this trend line? I kind of think that the next move here is a little bit of resistance up here at 10. I know we're just shy of 9 here today. Rigetti moves fast. I really am not sure that we get above 10. I think we probably roll back over, break this trend line to the downside. Ultimately, I think we test the 200-day down there at about 426 prior to testing double digits. That would be my call here. We'll see if that ends up holding up on Rigetti. But this is kind of the chart. Didn't see any news here earlier today. This is down 4% after that move last week.
I agree with everything you said. $10 looks like the big resistance area to me. You have the 20-day SMA at 992. So I could see a scenario where we do hit that 10 print and then end up closing underneath the 20-day SMA. That could be a rejection area. And if we do end up going lower, I think that'll be on a loss of probably 750. you could even draw a trend line from the low of January 13th to the low of it's either March 6th or 4th.
Fourth, yeah.
Yeah, so you could do either one there. But I would say if we if we get a rejection at $10 at the 20-day SMA, I would be looking at this trend line as the last bastion of support before we start making our way to the 200.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there with Rigetti. Yeah, I think we'll go lower here. It's easy for me to say that as I have no position on with this. But this is kind of what we're seeing here. Good stuff there on the trend line. Good stuff there on the trend line. Steve is saying, do you think we have buy the dippers early today? Many a times when the S&P gaps down in the pre-market, early trading is up. Steve, I did cover that here earlier today. What I would say, just to kind of specifically answer your question, I would say, no, I don't think we get them early. I guess that really depends on what your definition of early is. I would be completely unsurprised if they came in here today, but I would expect that to be a little bit closer to midday. I personally think we probably gap down and retest this 566 level before buy the dippers show up in any type of volume here today. Again, I still think that things have kind of changed. We're in this position now where rallies are getting sold rather than dips getting bought. But with the orderly move down that we've seen here in the SPY, wouldn't be shocked if we get some type of dip buy at some point. I don't expect it out of the open. I kind of think it's going to be a little bit closer to midday.
I get what he's asking. Because to his point, the last 3 days of last week, we saw a little bit more of a rally out of the open of those Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday. We ended up trying to trade up. In some cases, we ended up going higher than the pre-market highs. So, but on Monday and Tuesday, it wasn't so much that it was like selling out of the open. So I think because of what's been happening over the past 3 trading days, that would probably be where his question's coming from. And it's a good question because that's the pattern that we've been seeing. So I think he's more. I mean, you tell me, sir, if this is what you're asking, but it seems like he's seeing this pattern and wondering if we're going to end up seeing a repeat of it. I really can't say for sure because this is the year of the snake and the market's very volatile. So I don't know which days are. I mean, you might be able to figure which ones are going to go on or which days are going to see move up versus not. But I'm not gonna make any kind of guesses here today. But just if that's what you're seeing, good point. Good picking out that pattern.
Okay. Good stuff there. Real quick here. Izzy, good morning. It's great to see you again. Market has changed. The market is going lower now. I kind of started with that here today. I really do think that we're going to go towards this 10% pullback level. I've got that marked off here at 552-ish. I do think this is probably next. We did bounce off of the 200-day, but where we find ourselves this morning in the pre-market is actually beneath that 200-day. This level, of course, is going to come into play here today, whether or not we can close above or below this. That will determine if this is going to be a support or then maybe kind of firm up as a resistance. So I do think we're kind of coming in some more here on SPY, but today we definitely want to see what 572 brings, if anything, if we're able to get back up there. Jay, bringing up this point here, I think you meant to say we are seeing fewer deals here. Redfin, BECN, or we are seeing a few deals here. Redfin, BECN, and now, they were talking about this morning. They were talking about how they were surprised that M&A really hasn't picked up. Some of the headwinds there. Lena Khan is gone now, and then maybe some headwinds are equalizing some tailwinds. I'm curious to hear what you think, Jay, as well as the rest of the group. Do you suspect we get more mergers and acquisitions this year? Is it a sign of things to come? Is it something that we should keep an eye on? I'd like to know kind of how you're thinking about that, how that pertains to the rest of the market. 13, do you want to get in there too?
I remember reading, I don't know if it was a headline or a story about how some M&A policies that were present in the Biden administration may continue in the Trump administration. So just kind of seeing if I could, I was trying to locate that, see if I could refresh myself on what they were saying in there, because if we're seeing some, less than expected M&A activity, that could be one of the reasons why. But I'm just trying to do some dot connecting in real time, and a little too slow.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know what you see on that, Jay. Let me know how we can use that or that thesis or whatever going forward for some more trades there. Good job mentioning some of those. We covered some of the other ones that had mergers and acquisitions in the movers tool there. Okay. The other stock that someone had mentioned, I don't recognize this one. It was SCHG. This is Schwab US Large Cap Growth ETF. Looks like this is an ETF that tracks some of the growth stocks. And frankly, this stock looks very similar to NVIDIA, or this chart looks very similar to NVIDIA and the S&P. I would say if you're going to trade this one, trading this with whatever the market moves makes a lot of sense. I don't have any experience with this particular ETF, and I can't really deduce anything from the chart just because it seems to be mirroring the broader market here.
Yeah, it looks like for SCHG in particular, needs to recapture that 200-day SMA, or it looks like it'll go lower. Now we may end up getting some attempts to recapture it, so could see this thing get up to 26.50 maybe, but want to see some closing over that 200-day SMA, because so far we have two closes in a row, and today would end up being a third if we do not recapture.
Okay. Good stuff there. All right. Someone had asked about Baba. Pawan said, Baba analysis, please. First of all, the Chinese stocks have been pretty gangbusters here, really outperformed the US stocks so far to date here. Really timely buy by some of the big boys like David Tepper from Appaloosa, who was loading Baba at 84 near the end of the year. Really good stuff as the stock did print above 140. But what jumps off the page to me here is this double top in 13. I really can't wait to hear what you think about this. I know that you've been following some of the Chinese developments that we have been discussing in Happy Hour for a while. I'm really sharp on that. But now on the chart here, you have this big move. Now you have a pretty nasty looking double top. We just came off of overbought territory here. I'll be honest with you, to my eye, it actually looks like this might pull in a little bit. I could see, I could make the case here for 125 before we set new all-time highs above 146, excuse me. Just kind of looking at the chart here. I also put fib levels on this. You can see that these levels have actually been pretty good so far. So we'll leave that on there as Baba continues to trade. You got any thoughts here on Alibaba 13?
Do you have another chart that has a trend line on
it? No, it probably got reset. So we might as well just redraw it.
The one I have here that's on my chart that I've had on my chart for a little while now starts from May 17th, 2024. Brought up through October 7th last year, and then the 21st of February. There you go.
Right here.
There you go. Yeah. So that's what the trend line that the price keeps running into before it reverses. Unlike the first two times that we had these peaks form, the price is still hanging out up here. So that means to me that this could be gearing up to try and attempt to break over that again. So to your point about 125, I can see that being a possibility. I would say maybe more like 130 or just under 130. But if we do get support down around there, I think the next resistance level, if given enough time, might be in the closer to 150. Since the trend line continues to rise.
So you actually think there might be some more upside here. Interesting. You're not so concerned about this double top.
Well, I mean, I think that you could be getting a double top here, but we just pointed out where the support has to kick in if we're going to continue to go higher. So if we do not get support at that 125, 130 area, and we lose the 20 and start closing beneath that, then yeah, I think this is going to go down to at least 118. Maybe even lower. But like I said earlier, the fact that this is kind of consolidating up here and not breaking down immediately like we had the last two times, that's indicating to me that this is trying to go higher. So, we've got your levels. We'll see, which ones hold up and which ones don't. So 125 and then 150. If we lose 125 or 130 and the 20-day SMA, probably end up lower.
Okay, really good stuff there. There you go, Pawan. A little bit of both sides there. I think this double top is going to hold. Sounds to me like 13 thinks we're actually going to take that out and go to the top of the trend line. We'll see. We'll see where Baba goes here. That gives you some pretty good levels.
Yeah, if we hold that 125 and that 20-day SMA, I think that we could see 150.
Wow. Okay. So 13 thinks this is going to 1,000. Crazy. That's like 10x. I'm just kidding. Just have to have some fun here. I have to keep you folks on your toes post daylight savings time here today. Okay.
Regarding real quick, some of these movers that we talked about earlier, TRVI, this thing, really ripping into the open. Looking at 720 as the next upside target here. I'm gonna have to draw some new levels since it's starting to move through all the ones I had. And then also
news.
ATC. Oh, okay. ATCH. That one coming off of the 160, 165 area that I was outlining earlier, starting to come back up, making its way back to VWAP slowly, but starting to curl up. So maybe it's coming back.
40 cents away from that VWAP. Still pretty good move there if it can get back up there. Really quickly, shout out to the chat here who's all over this. BBAI, some news in the last 10 minutes here on one of our, I don't want to call it favorite, but maybe more popular stocks, more actively traded here. BBAI, Big Bear AI, awarded a 3.5-year, $13.2 million contract to modernize critical development for Defense Force Management Platform. So, okay, leading provider of AI-powered decision intelligence solutions for defense and national security announced that the U.S. Department of Defense has awarded the company a 3.5-year, $13.2 million sole source contract to support the chairman and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So the one thing that I would want to look in here is, do they actually get all of this 13.2 million, or if it's tiered? It looks like, at least from the outset here, that they get all of this. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to break it down here in real time.
No problem. I can just look at my chart here and see that I've already got 355 marked off as a resistance area. We almost hit that. But from Friday, from Thursday after hours to Friday pre-market, there's a lot of consolidation between 350 and 370. So that 20-cent range, the price is going to have to get through before I want to start trading this. Because that seems pretty heavy. Now, if it does, then there's seems to be very little resistance up to 410, and then we can get into what kind of levels we see there. But I also have 480 marked off as a previous level that we traded above and below. So if we get above 350, 355, I'd be thinking that maybe 480 is possible, but there is some levels on the way up there that I'd be concerned about. We can talk about that once we get there.
Okay, yeah, important to keep this in context too. We have a nice little pop here, and this pop does kind of coincide with the intraday low that we made on Friday, that we revisited here in the pre-market. But Jay's hitting this right on the head here. Small deal, so the $13.2 million, not really a huge deal. And perhaps more importantly here, they had lousy earnings last week across the board. It was a miss on the top, miss on the bottom. The guidance wasn't great. You had the director selling, or you had an insider selling here. And then Sideshow is also mentioning that this was downgraded last week. The price target, I think they were actually price target adjustments. I don't actually think they were a downgrade, but nonetheless, price target was lowered at Wainwright. I feel like hell hath frozen over if Wainwright is ever lowering price targets. They're normally setting exorbitant ones. But then also, where was that other one? Cantor Fitzgerald lowered the price target from 8 to 6. So to Jay's point here and to Sideshow's point here, well, we do have some good news here today, and it is popping BBAI. I think it's really important that we keep it in context. They just reported earnings that were less than stellar, and we really got blasted here recently on BBAI. You're mentioning the 430 area. The 450 was a pretty substantial support that we cracked. This is absolutely now resistance. So before we even talk about 480, we're going to need to clear out 440.
Yeah, like I say, there's a lot of areas on the way up to 480 that we'd be looking at as resistance. Can point those out later if we even get up there. But I still want to get above that level that I mentioned earlier. I think it was 360. So not BBAI, not a touch for me until we get clear that level and
Okay.
hold above it.
All right, we'll see if this sucks in longs here today. We got what, just under a minute until we open here. Some notable stocks that we already talked about here on the scanner: BBAI, ATCH, and then Redfin. Also, I saw that WIS was mentioning this earlier here. STSS, Sharps Technology. This is a penny stock here, 55 cents. Seems to be the pre-market high, but this thing's also up 56% here today. And for those of you that are sports fans, don't forget the NFL free agency starts here today. So we should be getting news drops and sports news drops all day long here today.
Well, maybe getting stock drops too.
And we're open. That was perfectly timed. I'm actually really impressed with the ability to time that. So really good stuff here. Okay, we are open. Let's see. First print here. S&P holding lower here, 1.4%.
All right, so MLYS kind of hanging out at the 14 area. BDRX, this thing trying to push up out of the open here, trying to get above VWAP. I have 470 as one of the earlier levels, then 530. So looking at those to the upside, see what we get. TRVI, this trying to hold above VWAP, not looking great. $6 I also think needs to hold. That was the big breakout area.
MLYS, so that was the 1 minute chart. I wanted to see if MLYS starts to get rowdy here. Maybe we can actually move back towards that VWAP. It might try here. We'll see. Walmart continuing its move down here. BLBX, this has gone lower now. So we had popped initially above 6. Now we've actually gone lower than where we started here. 299 BLBX. Rocket is trying to bounce after that Redfin acquisition. Redfin now above 1008, and this is actually higher. This actually dipped a little bit here in the pre-market. ATCH trying to curl.
Looks like TRVI is trying to push over 680. VRN dropped out of the open, trying to bounce off the 65 EMA. BBAI having a hard time getting above that 355, 360 area. BDRX so far looks like it's just kind of going sideways out of the open right now.
Kind of a muted open here. I know we gapped down a little bit. Don't really see a whole lot going on. S&P futures really just holding here, down 1.4%.
Looks like TRVI is still trying to go here.
NASDAQ down 2% now. Tesla at the lows. Let's take a look here at Tesla. That continues to move lower here.
I think that one's going to its 500-day SMA.
And what did we have for that again? What was that? Let me pull that up. I got those on two different charts. I'm not as quick with that.
I have 241 and 47 cents right now.
Yep, here we go on Tesla. By the way, we were talking about this one recently. What a round trip that Tesla was.
Round trips in the car.
Hood getting pounded. Mansoor, you were asking about Hood here. This also a potential Bitcoin play. Bitcoin down 5.5% here. So it looks like we tried to bounce. That has since rolled over and gone lower. Does anyone want to do the Bitcoin is dead, never coming back victory lap?
It's probably just
waiting to see if we get any here today.
Probably just providing more opportunities is what it's doing this in the long run. We'll see.
For Hood here, one of the things that I'd be looking at, what does this do with the bottom end of this consolidation area that we have at about $37? Reason that I'm looking at that here is because I do think that a move down to the 200 would be pretty good, but we're going to see what we do here first. 36 to 37 might be a potential support area here for Hood, ticker HOOD. Well, Tesla continuing to pull here, new lows. TRVI going back to that 7 spot.
It's certainly trying to.
STSS penny stock here trying to take out its VWAP. VRN continuing to come in. We're almost at that 65 EMA on the 5 at 547.
Yeah, it looks like TRVI is probably one of the better looking ones at the moment. Trying to get through 7. It's got to take out this this little seller here at 703. This thing might break into. There we go.
There it goes, right through 7, just like you said there. Good stuff, any of you that hit that.
So that's what we're getting.
There he is. Like J Diamond, I have been waiting for you today, my man. I have been waiting for you today. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Bitcoin, the move in Bitcoin, and where we go from here. Be sure to let me know.
Yep, enlighten us.
TRVI, this actually ended up being pretty good. This little yank back to VWAP, that shook out some of the weaker hands there and then new highs. I would watch for this. It could do this again here today, to be quite honest with you. Wouldn't be totally surprised. CELH popping out of the open here after a pretty weak time recently. Nice little move here today. Let's see, this is the gap. Yeah. See if we can get back above 30 here. That would be the next important upside spot. XOM higher here today by just about 1%. BP, same deal.
Looks like TRVI is trying to push up higher. Let me see if I can mark off some additional levels here because it's now trading above all the ones I had.
Yeah. J Diamond, no comment on Bitcoin. Interesting. Well, nonetheless, I'm glad you're here, brother. Glad to have you back.
Got a little bit of consolidation here to work through in TRVI. Seems like 755 could be the next level of resistance, but after that, 850 looks pretty good to me.
Right. BDRX, this pulled right out of the open and halted.
Halt to the downside.
Google's getting pounded. You know, I noticed that it looks like all of tech, right? NASDAQ gap down. Apple's also getting pounded. We talked about Tesla getting hit here. So here's your Apple chart, pounded. Here's your Tesla chart, pounded. Let's see if Google looks any different. Nope, pounded. How about Meta? We talked a little bit about Meta here this morning. That also a little bit weak. Watch this Friday intraday low here on Meta.
All Mag 7s, solid red. Not something you see too often because and we've seen a lot of rotation but among the Mag 7 until recently. And so if you had several of them that were down, you had a couple that were usually up. Not so today.
T-Mobile, higher here by 1.5%. Good mention there, Robert. ATCH, for those of you that were looking to trade this one here, looked like we had a little bit of a kind of a fake out curl there, rejected at that 65 EMA. You'd really want this to hold the pre-market low there, ATCH. The MLYS, this didn't ever print that 65 EMA, but it is still trying to bounce here. Still not sure if I trust this. I will say, though, that if this gets rolling, this could actually be a pretty decent trade. Good morning, Anil.
Yeah, MACD's starting to show signs of the curling. So if we get a crossing, we might see this move up. It looks like to me we might not get that big movement until it starts trading over $15. But I'm keeping an eye on it. Okay. TRVI went to 739.
What stock do you want me to put up here? I got to step away for just one sec here. TRVI, BBAI, which one do you want me to leave on?
Sure. We're probably not going to need to look at it too long. With TRVI is fine.
Yeah, here's TRVI. I'll be right back. I'll make it as quick as I can.
And with TRVI, we want to see the next level here that I have to the upside, which is going to be 755. Also have 720 marked off here. Not able to get above or close above that quite yet. We did have that impulse candle that took us up to the 720, but has not been able to have a 5-minute candle close over that yet. This one might, but we'll see if that's the case. We still have another minute and 15 seconds left in it. We'll see what we get out of that. VRN still hanging out at the 65 EMA. If we cannot recapture VWAP, I think that goes lower. BDAI trading underneath VWAP, trying to recover. Needs to hold the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, or else I think we are going to have a worse time trading this. If we do get that hold, we want to see a recapture of VWAP and then another recap, and then a subsequent recapture of a 360. All right, and then we're just waiting for BDRX to unhalt. MLYS starting to show some signs of life here. So we might get this $15 level that I was just mentioning. Almost there. This captures 15. We might get some better movement. Just touched it, looked like. Trying to break through 15. There it goes. It's a little bit above it. That was a timely move. Took it off my screen just for a moment, and it goes over that level. So if we can get a close over $15, we might end up taking out the pre-market highs, which I have at 1758. Volume needs to be better, though. We need to see more volume like we just saw in the past couple of candles on the 5-minute chart. But we need to make sure that we have better liquidity for this, because right now, if we don't, then it's going to start to spread out. Price will whipsaw around. People will leave. Reddit selling, Google. Yep, we're noticing all those coming down. So here we are with the MLYS in the next candle trying to hold above 15, currently trading beneath it. Looks like BDRX is back open. Looks like this is going to come. I think this may end up touching 350, but we'll see if that happens or not. Might even recapture VWAP here. Can't really say with a stock like this because the float is so small. This thing does kind of whatever it wants. It's moving on very little news right now. VKTX is breaking out, says Hans. Let's see here. Oops. Let's see what we got with that one. It is getting above the pre-market highs, but it's not up too much. We're trying to recapture its 20-day SMA. That's one of the things I can see here. This may end up turning around in the medium term if we can get a recapture of that 20-day SMA and the 50-day SMA after that. It looks like it's starting to curl.
Sorry about that, 13.
No problem. I was just taking a look at VKTX like Hans was asking about, but seems like it's just needs to start recapturing some of these moving averages. BDRX, after opening, went down to 370 and did a 180, and now it's trying to recapture, looks like 410, about where the VWAP is.
Sorry for going back here to VKTX. Is there a trade here in any of these GLP-1s that we're thinking? Did we
get a trade off the theme? Because I don't know if that's going to be the case. I was just going over the technicals.
Yeah, HIMS, this was a really huge pullback here. This is actually at a support level. I know Eli Lilly has really kind of been moving recently. This has kind of pulled off of its highs. Maybe on another pullback here. I'm just wondering what the consensus here is on some of these.
All anyway. Right. MLYS still working to retake 15 and hold above it. If it does, it might end up pushing up to that pre-market high. I thought this pre-market high was a different number. I thought it was 1760 something. But anyway,
pre-market I have it high, at 1730s.
Oh, okay. I have 1758. Well, anyway, it's over 17. All right, so let's see here. BDRX trying to recapture 4. I think 430 is the big number it needs to get over. It's trying for that number right now. If it can recapture 430 and hold above it, may end up going up another $1.
You guys mentioned in Fubo, Izzy here on a Fubo breakout. We're over Friday's high. What was this pullback from? February 28th? Was that earnings? No. Yeah, February 28th. So it looks like we're actually back kind of into this gap here. Maybe we can close this back up 350 on Fubo. Nice little break here. All time frames, really the 5 and the 15, I guess the best looking there. Don't feel great about any of these. Anyone else?
Just gotta trade the technicals. I think that's all, because nothing really fundamentally here looks good. I mean, everything's
Yeah.
so extended, and multiples are still high. Some other companies don't have squat on their balance sheet, but they're trading like, you know, like they make billions of dollars every quarter. So yeah, it's just that I'm just watching the technicals only, kind of just ignoring anything that makes sense. Just looking at what technicals show me. And right now they're showing that MLYS is still trying to push further into that 15 handle. So I want to see this get a couple more 5-minute candles to close above 15. Because if we do, we probably are going to end up seeing a test of that pre-market high if we get those closes.
Okay.
It's really starting to look good. BDRX really wants to try and recapture 430. It opened beneath it and has been trying to capture that particular level for the past 15 minutes. So if we do not get a recapture of 430 pretty soon, this is probably going to end up going lower. Here goes the next impulse attempt to try and push over 430 in BDRX.
Got that right here. I got 443 as that VWAP. Low ball shopping, no bids in yet. That's kind of where I feel best at here, Buffalo by Bicycle. We are bouncing here in the SPY, but I'll be honest, it's not inducing confidence.
Could just be, one of those bounces that are getting ready to be sold into.
This actually went right to that 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Lots of spec stuff getting hit. And ONDS absolutely wrecked. We'll see where that bottoms out. Be looking to increase the position when that does bottom out.
All right, I think BDRX is either going to have to
higher.
do it here or get rejected. It's still trying to take out that 430, and there's a seller there, and there's a bunch of sellers above it, but
you got a pretty clear trend down here if it can't break that. I'm with you. I think it needs to do this here in pretty short order.
Yep.
Lion here saying Trump tariffs are killing the market. That definitely seems to be a part of this, but I gotta say there definitely seems to be a Trump put under. Question is where is it? I know he's been talking about how he's not looking at the market here because he's got some bigger plans, which makes a lot of sense. But I would imagine he doesn't let it get killed too much.
Yeah, because he's got a bunch of friends that own these things.
Exactly. They all do.
MLYS, this was a good one because after getting that $15 level, it's really started to take off. Now, I'm not particularly fond of the formation that we're putting in here, but this is still looking like it's trying to get up to the 1750 area. It's just be ready for some pullbacks. I mean, this is the kind of price action I'd be raising my stop into. We don't want to get a sudden knife that wrecks the whole thing,
Good stuff getting above that VWAP there, though. I don't feel great buying this. Kudos to you for taking a stab at that.
And BDRX still trying for that 430. I'm also watching that one, and then every time it gets up to 430, it just gets door stopped right at 430. It's so funny. Yeah, if MLYS can get above 16 now, that's at 1750, that 1760 looks even more possible, but running into a little bit of resistance here.
Tesla continuing its way to the downside. That's on its way to that 500 that we talked about on Tesla. Yeah. Still on its way down there.
Sectors holding up: energy, consumer, defensive, and utilities. Yes, all of the ones that traders and investors rotate into when they're nervous or uncertain about the market. They go into the defensive plays.
And this is very much what we saw last week as well. Here's your heat map of that. Consumer staples, healthcare, and energy definitely leading the way. Energy actually the weakest of those three there.
Yep. People still need fuel.
Yep.
They still need food, and they still need electricity.
Yep.
And so you're going to see cell phones. They may hold up. The telecoms will hold up. They'll hold up okay. But the utilities tend to do pretty well. Consumer defensives very well. That's and they're all most of them are value plays, and that's what we're kind of seeing this a lot of rotation into is
Yep.
more value stocks that pay dividends, have good cash flow, things of that nature.
And I'm totally okay with that. Wisdom, do you need a hug, Ryan? You're not feeling good about a lot of things, not feeling good about some of the like intraday short-term moves. Overall, though, I feel fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We got March Madness coming up. We got my birthday coming up. I had a great weekend. I like what I'm seeing here. I really want some of these lofty prices in the market to be reset. I'm feeling pretty good right now, to be quite honest with you.
ATCH. Oh, okay. Well, there it goes. I was going to say this looks like it's going to make a move here pretty soon, and it's starting to do that now. It went up to the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Don't know how much we're going to get out of this one. It's looking like it's still in the recovery after getting slapped down in the pre-market. Seems to me like 2 would be the next level that would make sense. $2. After that, maybe there's a potential high coming at about 240 if we get above $2. So that's what I'd be seeing. Looks like BDRX. Look at all those attempts trying to get above.
It's still not resolving.
It's starting to put in some upper shadows that make me nervous about owning this here. So be careful with BDRX if you're going to trade this. It still hasn't completely broken down, but if it does, I'd be looking at the 65 EMA on the 5-minute as support, which is down at 355.
Wisdom saying, Ryan, can I do a birthday dance for you? You can, as long as I don't have to see it.
Live stream. Nope, live stream it. Live stream the birthday dance.
No. TRVI, this did pull back to its VWAP and held it. So we'll see if that gets rolling here. VRN back to that 65 EMA on the 5 and recapturing the VWAP. So that's firming up here.
Yep, that one's looking pretty good. Looking for a move over 575. We get that, then I want to see a break of 6.
EA Sports, it's in the game. It's in the game. So a couple of things here. So first of all, I am all out of this. I actually took the trailer off last week, and what a monster trade. Who's still in EA? This is definitely the best trade of the year here. Huge shout out to Mark Petrino, who gave this as a stock of the day. We traded this with options, multiple buys, sold and rolled higher twice. Close this out. EA, what a great move on this one. Who was that? Jaboni? Hope you're banking on this one. I'm all out here, but this so far, best trade of 2025.
MLYS hit a high of 1565, coming back in a little bit now to VWAP. Going to want to see VWAP hold. Going to want to see also $15 hold. If we get that, we get that wish, this could end up going higher.
Sorry, I'm laughing at our chat. We got the best group of people here.
We have not only the best group of people, we have smart people in this chat too.
By the way, that 430 area that you were highlighting there on BDRX rejected, and we are at least rolling over here at the moment. By the way, we talked about what was SPY going to do here today and said, I think we might actually gap down. So the little bit of a bounce that we got here, really not a whole lot. I still am not sure that we've put the lows in for the day. I wouldn't be surprised if we rolled over and tested this 566 area. Wouldn't be shocked at all. VIX, by the way, VIX here, 26.27. This holding 12% higher here.
Yeah, so far the low of the day was at the open there. That was 566 and 36 cents. So, and I have a previous all-time high here of 566 and 58 cents. So, seems like that's where some of the support's kicking in at. Beneath that, I have the 565 and 16 cent previous all-time high. Those two levels were pretty kind of created a range. That's where we got support in between those two levels on Friday before we turned around and ripped into the close. So important levels that we're coming up to. Beneath that, I have 561 as another resistance area. Support area if we lose the 565 and 16 cent previous all-time high.
McDonald's here, ticker MCD. This actually printing new highs here today. I got to think that generally speaking, McDonald's continuing to print new highs, not great for the broader market, not very bullish for the broader market here. Ticker MCD, this actually going to highs. Izzy, is my favorite question of the day so far. Wish list, Ryan, on big dips. What are you buying? So we can actually come up with a number of stocks here. On big dips, I'm looking for the bigger stocks, right? I want the really quality established companies to go on sale. So I think the three companies here that I'd be looking at the most, Costco, which we already talked about, Palantir, which we already talked about, and I'd actually throw in PanW on that as well. Palo Alto Networks. I'd really like to be able to add that if that comes in. There are plenty of others though. I'm not opposed to adding some Apple if that really comes in. I wouldn't be opposed to adding Tesla if that really comes in. So I think this is a good discussion point that we should have here. Let me know, chat. Let's all answer Izzy here. What's on our watch list for best buys if we really do get a substantial move down here? Big dips as outlined by the question. Amazon definitely on there for me as well.
I don't know if I mentioned it in the pre-market playbook here, but in happy hour, I was talking a lot about, especially last week, how I like Dollar General, and I think that's a good play on a weekly consumer that's trying to get bargains for their shopping, especially if their purchasing power is diminishing. This has been moving up really well ever since last week. If you look at it, yeah. So that's a pretty good move off the lows.
Now, let me ask you, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but just because we're talking about it, if you think the consumer continues to weaken here and you kind of like Dollar General, you think there's any possibility that we maybe close this gap or put some work in towards trying to close that?
Well, I'm holding DG for the long term. So I believe that, we'll see that gap close.
Okay.
This might take a while.
Okay. All right, really good, really nice trade in there, Steve. Locked in gains on XPS puts, already left 10% of the position on for a runner in case we do go down there. Really good stuff there.
DWTX, Dogwood Therapeutics, this thing just flying over the past 10 minutes.
And that's actually above the pre-market high, or excuse me, the intraday high from last week. Really good stuff here. DWTX.
Looks like it's coming up to the next resistance level of 950. If it gets through that, then 1055 looks like it could be next. Okay. Seems like BDRX still trying to push through that at 430. If it continues to hammer that level, it may end up actually capturing it.
Okay. Here we go. Another Carmen here saying, one thing I'm thinking about is that if we get rate cuts because of inflation fears, so I don't know, you mean if we get rate cuts here, will growth companies tick up again? So I think what you're asking here is if we start cutting rates, do you think maybe some of these big growth companies that were outperformers for us, do those become back in favor?
I would say watch the IWM for that. I think the IWM has been beaten up far more than some of these other indexes. So those micro cap and those really small names that have been absolutely hammered and are probably in a lot of cases, some of them are trading beneath their valuation, their fair valuations. I would maybe start looking at some smaller companies that really do depend upon lower interest rates so that they can finance their money losing activities with whatever they may be. So I would start there with those, the really, really small micro caps that really do need these lower interest rates to stay relevant.
Okay. So we talked a lot about the SPY, being at about 7% off the all-time highs, not really being in correction territory. Well, it's different with the IWM. IWM is down 17% from its all-time highs. So this is actually close to bear market territory. Now, interestingly enough, 13, as you were saying that, I took a look here, breadth across the board, red, except for the Russell. Russell breadth is green here today. So just kind of an interesting dichotomy there. Carmen, let me know if that was helpful at all.
Yeah, thank you, Carmen. I appreciate that. One thing to mention is that one of our happy hour frequent visitors, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, was mentioning how we probably want to take a look at or watch the IWM because it's been sort of leading the way, both to the upside and downside. Not so much now, but earlier on it was leading the way. So the next moves, if we do get those rate cuts that we're expecting perhaps later this year, definitely watch the IWM for the first moves, I would say.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Really good stuff there.
All right.
Tesla 200 is my buy. Jay says, I doubt that we get rate cuts because the growth is slowing. So, Jay, you're not buying the tech maybe ticking up in the case of rate cuts. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff here. Bitcoin rolling over, right back down to the lows from the pre-market that we actually traded off of. Interestingly, the VIX, while it's holding higher here at 2630, hasn't actually gone much higher yet. Apple sell-off seems to have slowed. Tesla still hunting lows. Netflix already bounced, and Costco seems to have kind of slowed down on that move down as well.
BDRX is just a lot of fun to watch right now because it's still hammering the 430, but to no avail. At some point, I feel like if it continues to do this, where it keeps trying to get above 430, we're going to see this big move up, and then it's going to come right back in, and then that'll be it.
Okay.
MLYS still holding above 15. That's a good sign, but starting to look a little weak here with the lowering volume.
Not sure I trust any of these moves, to be quite honest with you.
Well, yeah, like a lot of these, we're just just sell into. They're just getting sold into, a lot of them.
Let me try refreshing my platform here. I'm having some issues with my charts. Give me 1 sec here, folks.
It's a good quote from Confucius, their wisdom. He's known for his market strategies.
Man,
looks like
all
Tesla,
my charts are dead here. Sorry, hang on a sec. Let me report this 13.
No worries. Look, Tesla kind of beelining right for that 500-day SMA. It's now less than $1 away from the 500-day SMA. What else is happening? So Dogwood DWTX that went up to 945, came in a little bit, trying to push higher still. See if we can get there. Everything else doesn't look that great. BBAI, this thing went up to 357 and just came right back in. Looks like it's not showing any signs of slowing down quite yet. VRN pretty much sideways now after dropping out of the open. ATCH getting a test of the 165, 160 area where we were looking at for support earlier. Don't want to see this hang out around here. We want to see a rebound off this because if we start losing that level, we may end up going back down into the 130s.
Rolling over here, ATCH. Got my charts fixed, thankfully.
Yep. TRVI also rolling over. This one might get support at the $6 level. That was the breakout level from the pre-market. So I think that's going to be a strong area of support coming down here. There is the 65 EMA right beneath it at 578, 579. So we'll just round it off, call it 580. So you might see a rebound off 580 if it loses 6. But if we lose 6 and that 65 EMA, then we're probably headed back to $5.
Okay.
Looks like MLYS holding above 15 pretty well. This one looking like the strongest one of the session at the moment. If it holds 15, there's still a chance we could see the other side of 16.
This looks like this wants to really kind of roll higher. I just don't trust it. Maybe it's just because what the market is doing here. New lows, by the way, that rollover did happen here on the SPY as we continue to hunt lows for the day here.
And
566 is down.
Tesla hit the 500-day SMA and has not stopped.
And that's continuing to break down here until, let me go back to my other chart here real quick. TSLA.
And if we lose 238 and 88 cents, we are in gap fill territory down to 218.72.
Okay. So whoever was asking about the buy the dip earlier, you're asking right out of the open. This is kind of what I was waiting for. Now the question for me is, does this firm up throughout the course of the day, or is this just one of those days where the market is just bidless throughout the day? Go back to the main workspace here. We'll flip around. I'll be honest. I don't feel, like I said, I don't feel great about putting short-term trades on now. I am open. Maybe if we get like a bounce here on a potential short, that's something that I'm looking to do.
What does this SPY look like on a smaller time frame here? Okay, so we're about almost down to the lows that we put in on Friday. Trying to turn around here. Yeah, I think I just need to wait and see what happens with this area here, because we are now testing the lows from Friday, and this is right in that range where I was talking about earlier. Now, if we lose 565 and 16 cents, then I think we're probably going to end up seeing closer to 560. I have 561 marked off as a level, so I will see if we get that. But on the way down here, there might be some support coming at 564. I don't know how well that'll hold up, but this is going to rely on my levels that I put in here previously. So 561 if we lose the 565 and 16 cent level.
Dogwood Therapeutics, DWTX, this rolling over off of that initial impulse move.
So if this comes down to 760 and gets support, we might see a bounce back up to VWAP.
ELF, this is another stock that you were mentioning here. ELF trading higher here. Who was this that mentioned ELF? Izzy says, I'm buying this market very soon. Izzy, try and keep caps to tickers, please. Jay Michael says, looks like a good day to go touch grass. I'll be honest, here in Chicago, it is supposed to be 67 degrees. We're supposed to be almost 70 degrees here today. I can assure you this afternoon, I will be doing that. I will absolutely be doing some touching of the grass this afternoon. Way too nice to stay inside of a computer and watching stocks fall apart all day.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I'm serious.
It's fun. I mean, we go to demolition derbies. It's fun. It's fun sometimes to watch.
I've actually never been to a demolition derby in my life. Are they wild in real life or in person?
I haven't been to a demolition derby. I've been to monster truck rallies, and they still,
Never been to a monster truck rally.
Those are fun.
Big B saying ELF is a genuinely broken stock. This has actually been a pretty good stock in the past. This has actually been a pretty nice move here. Don't we have Ulta earnings coming up today or this week here? Here, really quickly here. Here's your ELF chart, man. So this you talk about a double top here. This double top right around 220 really kind of sent. This thing's been cut in half.
That looks like a Batman head and shoulders
from that area. It does kind of look like the good old Batman chart formation.
Yeah, you got the two head, you got the head and shoulders there, but those two, the double top there for the head, that's Batman.
Those are bat ears, baby.
And he's just basically saying, "Don't trade this." That's what he's saying.
Well done, 13. Here is Ulta. This reports earnings Thursday after the market closes. Sorry, it's not today. It is this week, though. Thursday here. Ulta actually at a support level. I wonder what they say about the consumer, right? Because we've seen so far with some of these earnings reports that the consumer is definitely trading down. I wonder what we'll get from Ulta here.
I have some thoughts on where brands like that could end up going. I mean, if and I think it's going to be more tied to what we get out of these labor reports, and we just got one last week. But if we are seeing more job losses, then I think that we may end up seeing in the longer term a rise in some of those cosmetic stocks as ladies and buy makeup so they can uh, doll themselves up for job interviews and things like that. That's a play we've discussed before. I'm not sure we're going to see that anytime soon, but it's something we may end up seeing. We talked about that.
And by the way, someone was asking earlier about X being down. It appears that it is. My X feed is not refreshing. We're having trouble connecting right now. So I use X Pro. I don't use the traditional X feed, but it is not updating. So it looks like we are having an issue here with X. When I first woke up this morning, it was also not working, although it was really quickly resolved.
Wonder if that's helping pull Tesla down more. I realize they're not the same company, but same owner, that whole.
Oh, yeah.
Robert saying the shipbuilder, I can't think of Huntington Ingalls, still strong too, off of their lows. I think Lion Atlas also had mentioned this one last week.
Yeah, X completely down for me here. They were saying on CNBC earlier it was having issues. I confirmed that, but it seems to be down worldwide now. It is definitely down for me as well. X is under a cyber attack. That I did not see. That I did not see.
By who, I wonder? Looks like DWTX is trying to bounce off of the almost that area I was mentioning. I was talking about 750 being an interesting level. It just started rebounding around 762, 763. We'll see if we get any follow through with that.
And that almost round tripping that move higher here.
Looks like some of the MLYS pushing higher into the 15s, almost to 16 now. They're through 16. Is it going to take out, or is it going to go for the pre-market highs? It might.
Nice little move here for anyone that caught this. I'm sitting on the sidelines for this.
All right. So that one, MLYS, probably one of the better ones today. BDRX now touching its 65 EMA. TRVI getting support at that $6 level that we don't want to see break down. If it does, at the very least, we want to see a rebound off the 65 EMA, or this thing's probably headed back to 5.
I'll let you know if X comes back. Looks like it is working for some and not for others. Interesting.
Regional blackout, maybe?
SNOA, this is actually trying to go higher here. How's Uber doing? Uber really hit here this morning. So again, just some of these names that were really strong growth names, there's just no strength in them here today. Tesla continuing to move lower, it looks like. NBIS at the lows down here at 26. I tell you what, this NBIS is getting into a buy zone for me. Somewhere around 20, you might try that again.
So TNXP having a pretty good morning. Looks like they got news. This is on a potential mpox and smallpox develop vaccine. So has a nice formation here, but volume doesn't seem to be that great. So I don't know how much of a move we're going to get out of this, but if it gets back above $15 and over VWAP, like it's looking like it's trying to, maybe this goes on a little bit of a run. It might be a slow, steady run, but formation's not looking too bad. I would just be very careful with this if you're going to trade it, because the volume doesn't look great, but the formation isn't too bad either. Just be careful if you're going to trade any of this, really.
I cannot get X to work, so I'll keep trying. But I know you're seeing some reports that it's working in some areas and not others. I'll keep you posted here. Can't get it working at the moment, though. Good stuff there on TNXP, by the way. SPY continuing to move lower here in kind of an orderly fashion. So we did actually kind of hold that so far. I don't think this is over, though. Where were the last time we were this low here? October, September. So we're back to September levels at this point. Under Armour actually trading higher here today. There wasn't any news on that, was there? No. BDRX hunting for some new lows here. SPRC, SciSpark, we've traded this one before. This is a penny stock here. Some news here about what? Psychedelic therapy in South Korea targeting cocaine addiction. Okay. I'll probably pass on SciSpark here. Not looking like great action here today. I'll tell you, I don't, even some of these stuff, MLYS, that was the best move so far here today. And I didn't even feel all that great. MLYS. Don't see a whole lot out here, folks. X is fine here. It was down 2 minutes ago. Pretty Panda, where are you at? What area are you? That's interesting. X not working in South Africa. Okay.
TRVI almost down to that 65 EMA, trying to recapture 6. We'll see if this ends up turning around or not.
ISRG, remember the removal from the S&P 100 there. That's getting hit. UiPath, former AI name. This is higher here today. That's kind of bucking the trend. IBM going higher here. Jay, I see that you had said IBM so impressive. Indeed, this is impressive. New highs here. I guess we're surprised to see some new highs here with the potential cutting of government funding and government working. IBM gets a lot of money from that. Shaking this off, though. IBM higher here today. What kind of long-term view do you have on IBM, Jay? Curious.
I was going to ask a question here. Let me just see who it was. I think it was Izzy. Yeah, Izzy. As far as LAES goes, I think 3 needs to I think that it needs to recapture 3 or else it's going lower. That would be also that would also result well, it needs to recapture 3 and the 20-day SMA. It really does need to get above 3 in my opinion, or else I think we're going lower here. If we do go lower, the 200-day SMA at 163 might be a good buy area, but I really can't suggest any good levels to buy this because I don't see this turning around yet. It might be, but I have my concerns about this rebound that we have here off of 2. So maybe $2 if it goes lower. I just really can't say. Sorry.
Solar higher here. By the way, Bitcoin taking another leg down here as it breaks 80K into a 70 handle. Come to Papa. Come to Papa. MicroStrategy. I guess we should take a look at that. MSTR here. Minus 13% as MicroStrategy continues to come in. Anyone got a buy spot for MicroStrategy? Maybe 200 or so? Let me know. Let me know.
All right. Well, seems like a lot of those movers from this morning are just kind of either falling or going sideways at the moment. Only MLYS really looked like it was doing anything meaningful, and now that's starting to put in some upper shadows.
ABBV, I think 3D, you were mentioning this one earlier. Nice little dip and rip here on AbbVie. Did we have news on AbbVie? Let's see. No.
Was that an all-time high that just made? Looks like it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, I think this thing's super extended. Daily's RSI showing you a 78, higher than 78. Maybe there's a push to 220, but if there is, that'd be where I'd be selling a lot.
Nice little move here on AbbVie today.
And that's
VIX
just it.
Also at the highs of the day. Orderly move though in VIX.
Yeah, this is just what I'm seeing off the ABV chart. I don't know the fundamentals or anything behind this company, but
looks like big cap tech here might be might be setting up for another leg down here. Apple actually looks like this is going to try and roll over. Netflix, which was one of the stronger ones that bounced right here out of the open, we actually might retest some lows here. Zim on the scanner and rolling over here. Nova, whoever was mentioning Nova earlier, this junky penny stock. BDRX on its way to 3. DWTX gave back that entire move. Oh, yikes. Yikes. So Ferris saying stocks on sale. Ferris, what's your favorite stock and what price would you like that to go on sale for? Lunar down again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably going to gap fill down to around 630, I think. I mean, this thing could probably end up going down to 350 before it starts getting buyers, but very oversold, Lunar. So wouldn't surprise me if this started to bounce just because of how low the RSI is.
Let it all come in. 565 now. Looks like SPY is probably going to take out some of those Friday lows and go lower here. At least seems to be big cap is getting the hit the most.
All right.
Portillo's is strong today. Interesting. I wonder how some of the restaurant names that were growth names like Kava, that is still getting hit. I think we still have some more downside here. Perfect. Here are some of the levels that we have for the downside on Kava. We did it. We did it.
So let's see if we get a staircase down. So let's see here. SPY bouncing after it hit 565 and 17 cents. My previous all-time high that I had marked off there was 565 and 16 cents. So sorry about that penny difference there. Nice little bounce. I can't say for sure if this is going to trade back up or go lower, but my first thought here is that this may just bounce around going sideways before it chooses a direction. And we are 9 minutes away from 10:30, where we expect a lot of volume to really dry up there. Not that it hasn't already been showing signs of that.
Want to also see if the NASDAQ and the SPY can finish their bottoming process by then, or if we're set up for another leg lower on that.
Chris Neal mentioning TSN and STZ because people are going to eat and drink, not necessarily in that order, but they're going to do it either way, and you're right about that. TSN still holding my shares I bought a while back. I still haven't hit my my targets. I want to exit my positions in, but being patient. Around the horn of some of these
yeah, I'm just kind of looking around too.
Some of these movers from this morning not looking too great. Maybe DWTX with some of these wicks on the bottom here potentially turning around. Need to see a recapture of well, maybe a recapture of 780 would do it for me. We'll see. TRVI, that one getting support from the 65 EMA. So let's see if it can recapture 6. That would be an indication of that potentially turning around here if it did that. Volume much lower than it was previously. So tempering expectations there. Always look at the volume. That's going to tell you if this is going to be liquid enough to do your trades. So VRN still trying to get back above
Yep.
VWAP. That one might be turning up here. We'll see.
See. ENPH, more highs here. See, Carmen asking, why is ENPH going up? Looks like solar, just in general, is going up. I think that might be the market sniffing out lower rates, as we've kind of toyed around with. Solar Edge, ticker SEDG, this is up as well. Ticker RUN Sunrun, this is up. I would be willing to guess that TAN, the solar ETF, also up here. Seems to me that the kind of like we've discussed here as a group, market might be sniffing out rates coming in. That should be great for solar. I can see those stocks responding to that here today.
FSLR, not really getting too
Not
much
participating.
of the same.
No.
That actually looks like it's going lower. This falling out of a broadening rising wedge. This may end up coming down to, it might go under 100, to be honest. Let's see what happens at around 112 first, like 112.50. If that holds up, then maybe most of the selling is done. But I still think this looks like it's on the path to test 100.
Okay. Rough looking daily chart there. Just kind of looking around here. I am seeing Goldman Sachs trying to come up off the lows. See if the banks are able to do that here. I don't think we've got enough data to confirm that yet. JPM, same deal there. We are seeing some bounces. Again, this move down here, not the panic drop, more of the orderly move down. And I think we're seeing a continuation of that. VIX really kind of holding steady here, 26.5 on the VIX.
JPM coming down to a trend line that I've got here that goes back all the way to 2015. Let's see, it tests the trend line at about, looks like it's about somewhere between 232 and 233. So almost there. And it's also pretty oversold too. So it would not surprise me if we got a bounce off of this trend line from overselling.
I'm sorry, which stock are you looking at?
JPM.
JPM?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you want me to kind of try to describe this trend line, you can use the high from 2020, January 2020, and draw it through the highs in 2021 from March, June, and October, and just keep drawing the trend line. You'll see where the price ends up interacting with it. You just have to start in 2020.
Okay. I'll do that when I have some more.
Okay.
I don't want to. I'm not going to do that right now. By the way, Twitter seems to be back for me. Not only did X Pro open, but the feed is refreshing.
Well, let's see if that was an attack. They're still calling it an outage everywhere I'm seeing. They're not really laying on an attack, even though it could be an attack. But
yeah, I haven't seen anything regarding attack at all. But I guess it is still early. Mm-hmm. I just got to say, FinTwit is one thing here. With the orderly move down that we're kind of seeing here, my entire strategy here is to kind of wait until we kind of bottom out here. Gosh, look at Reddit. Reddit getting pounded down 13% here.
Those are some really bearish candles, like really damn bearish, about as bearish as you can get, especially today's. That's just a solid rectangular candle. Seems like this is going to have a date with its 200-day SMA. I feel confident saying that.
See, let's bring this up here. I didn't have the 200-day on the other chart here. Your 200-day is at 108.
Yep.
And I'll tell you something else here, 13. You got a possible gap fill down here to 80. Let's see what these puts look like on Reddit. Not sure chasing the put today makes the most sense, just given how elevated some of these contracts are.
This thing's nearly cut in half. I don't think I would want to get puts at this stage. It's almost down
Yeah.
50% off the highs.
I'm not thinking, but I'm wondering here if we bounce and this thing really can't get over any of these levels. I know we've really started to take the elevator down here, but we get any type of bounce here that might actually set up for a potential short. We'll see. I think Reddit could be a buy near 100. Well, there we go, Robert. If we lost that 200 day, settled at 100, that would actually set up for a recapture of that 200, which would be pretty good. Interesting. You guys are hypothesizing that Anonymous is behind the X hack. If it is that, I haven't seen anything for that, but I guess that's possible.
We haven't heard from them in a while, haven't we? Anonymous?
Not anything credible that I can recall. The big thing about X being down, like I was saying earlier, FinTwit's one thing, but this is the start of NFL free agency to me. Are you telling me that these people can't break their sports news on X today? People would be beside themselves.
How can we play that? No, seriously, how can we play people that kind of depend upon
I don't know
getting news out?
I don't know if there's necessarily a play for that.
I mean, let's see. If X is down, what's Snap looking like, or some of these other social media companies? No, that's hammered.
Meta was getting hit earlier here.
Oh, Snap.
SPY volume 14 million, so we're actually ahead of where we've been at recently.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking out loud. Just not sure how we could play that. This seems like it's providing some kind of opportunity. Just not sure where to look.
Hang on, Kindred Duke. No, we have no confirmation that X was hacked. We are speculating here. Mm-hmm. The group is speculating because Twitter went down, but I haven't seen anything that's confirmed any of that. So our discussion here is just simply speculation.
Yeah.
No news of it, but we're speculating. There you go. Fairchild's got our back. Fairchild's out here getting it done as usual. Dollar General, by the way, that you like, this continuing to go towards highs here. We'll see if it can set some new highs. That was not a bad call. Might be a decent area to park. By the way, sweet one, I think you were mentioning this earlier. The dividend plays in your portfolio were green. I just did a cursory look at my sheet there too, and indeed, the only dividend play that I have that's down here today is Costco, but I don't own that for the dividend, full disclosure here. But some of those other dividend plays, they're all up. You know what? Starwood. Nope, Starwood's up here today too. How about that? That was Telemere. That's actually down.
Okay. Realty Income Corporation is up. That's O.
Yep.
Getting a lot of these, that we're looking at playing for the like REITs and value, the dividend names, they're starting to get extended a little bit quickly here. Oh, in particular, this is over 70 RSI, almost 71 RSI now. So maybe there's a move up to about 60 and change before it starts turning around and cooling off.
Anyone think Open, ticker OPEN, Open Door Technologies? Anyone think that this might be a buy on a potential merger and acquisition? Kind of seeing that with Redfin here this morning. I have no position. I'm just asking the group, kind of speculating. Is he mentioning that ALLR is being pumped? Okay, I would stay away from that one anyway.
Open Door doesn't look as bad as Redfin does. They are still losing money and an astonishing amount, but their balance sheet isn't as bad as Redfin's. Got almost 12% of the float shorted, but not many days to cover, which is interesting because it's a 613 million share float. I guess it just trades that much.
Reddit continuing to get pounded. I wonder if Hood stabilized or if that's continuing to sell off here. Hood's still getting hit. How about Hims? Just some of these other Momo names. Hims actually holding in here.
You got insider. Sorry.
You're fine.
You got insider selling in Open Door, and they also guided much lower than what the expectations were in their last earnings from February. So If there, I mean, that would be the only thing that to even get excited about this one for is, hey, Redfin got acquired. Maybe this one does. So I see what you're saying, but I don't know who would want to pick this up.
Yeah. I was just thinking out loud, more of a just kind of speculating than anything. 3D saying that X is hacked by aliens. Yo, so if that actually happened, do you think we might actually get some confirmation that aliens are here? I would expect that if aliens pulled off a huge hack, that we should get some more clarity on that.
I think we'll get confirmation that aliens exist when Musk finally takes his mask off.
Ah, there you go. What a turn of events that would be, 13.
Oh, it'd be a Scooby-Doo moment for sure.
Carvana, by the way, you know what, Lion? I'm not sure if you're there. Hopefully, you're doing well. You and your family are doing well here. Lion, you did a great job calling this Carvana short. I kind of thought that this might chop around for a little bit. No, this thing just went straight down. We are actually down 100 points from about where we were talking about there. Alexander here bringing this one up. Hopefully, you were able to catch that. Good stuff there.
How does Root look?
Jay, here. Sorry, I'll go to that here real quick. Here's Root. You think there might still be more room down here on Root?
Well, remember how like Carvana and Root are tied together a little bit because I think it was Carvana that owns some shares of Root or has a stake in it, and they when they sell their cars, they push people to try to get insured by Root. I believe that's with the
So that's what I'm saying. If Carvana's gotten hit, do we have maybe a sympathy trade here in Root? More downside.
I think that's possible. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Look, and it's really starting to look like Root's beginning to roll over as well. Look at this, the multiple days ever since the end of February, the multiple days where it got above the 20-day SMA and has been back testing it as support multiple times. There could be a day coming soon where we actually lose the 20-day SMA and then we fall even further. You see what I'm talking? There you go.
Here today.
Yeah, do you see, it's perfect. You see it right there. It's just those multiple tests after getting over the 20-day SMA just in the past couple of weeks. Now starting to look like
good Lord,
maybe we can lower.
In the April expiry for Root, the 100 put is 460 by 7. It's spread by 240. I mean, that's not even viable. I mean, some of you guys that trade options more than me, you tell me how you'd handle this. This to me looks not even viable. Multiple dollar spread on those puts there in Root.
That might be a good thing to ask Anne Marie. I see how she would do it if she were going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know. I don't want to speak. I don't even want to speak for her.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just.
No, I know. I was about to. I was about to give what I think, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That's just, to me, we're talking here about potentially Root rolling over in sympathy with Carvana, which we already see down. That actually makes sense for a short side trade there. I can get on the back of that, but not with spreads like that. Not with spreads like that. No way. CPB, Jay, you were mentioning you don't want to see names like this up, especially up 3.6%. Definitely don't want to see it up 3.6%. This is going to be another one of those defensive names here, kind of along the lines of Dollar General there.
Yeah, and so all those names and the consumer names and the vice names. So Tap, Bud, the alcohol names. They're. Yep. I mean, they've come off of some lows since January, and especially Bud is just absolutely tearing it up right now. But those would be some other ones to take a look at. Let's see. We have some other cigarette names as well. Nah, those aren't looking great, but alcohol looking great. All right, so what's going on?
I'm holding in there.
Taking a look at some of these movers, seeing some of them start to curl. I'm not sure if they're coming back or not, but it just, they're starting to put in that type of formation, like they want to come back. Don't think
we broke our trend line to the downside here.
Uh-oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Let's see here. I'm going to look at Chewy. Wow. Okay, so yeah, 200-day SMA looking mighty possible now.
I actually might try it there at 200.
Yeah,
Pfizer calls, UPS calls, Kroger calls.
$30 Chewy. Probably end up getting that. We probably see that this week. Is he saying Celsius strong? C-Spot saying BBAI looks okay.
All of these tech names, more downside here. Google, Apple, PanW, bring them all in.
So speaking of names that are starting to curl like the movers, BBAI trying to come back up, making its way to VWAP right now, or at least my VWAP that I have at 333. If we continue with this turnaround here, we're going to be looking at that at 355, 360 area as the resistance it has to break through for continuation. Otherwise, that's going to be where we reject and turn around and go lower again. Take a look at Celsius.
Yeah, I can't help it. I don't really trust anything here today. Bank's still looking weak. That actually might go lower here. NASDAQ continuing to pound lows. That actually traded below 3% loss earlier today.
So Robert, or I'm sorry, not Robert, Izzy, Celsius, interesting what I have here on the chart. It's hasn't the 20-day SMA has not crossed the 50-day SMA yet, despite the price trading back over the 50-day SMA multiple times. If we get that cross of the 20-day to the over the SMA to the 50 to the upside, that's a silver cross. That's a bullish indicator. I think that's going to we get that crossing pretty soon if the price remains above 26. So if we get that, I think we're going to end up seeing the other side, the higher side of 30, sometime shortly after we get that silver cross. So interesting chart here on Celsius. We may be recovering with that one. And I'll even say that if we do get above the $30 handle and hold above it for multiple days, that the 200-day SMA is also possible. So there's some things to watch for. Silver cross, $30, 200-day SMA.
Solar name also, the solar names are still starting to trade up here. Market's still weak here. SPY actually losing that 565 area. A couple of things I wanted to address here real quick that we had not talked about yet. Direct details here. Is anyone buying stocks for the long term today? So I'm waiting this out because I do want to buy stocks, but not today. I still think that there's some more room down here. Just to give you an idea of kind of where I'm formulating that opinion, this is the chart that we start with here every day. We generally take a look at the SPY here. And I've got some of these pullback levels marked. 13 and I have discussed these levels a lot. I simply just marked them on the chart after our discussion here. There's no secret or anything to this. I'm curious to see what happens at a 10% pullback level. Frankly, I'd love for this to come in a little bit more than that. I don't know where the bottom is. I don't pretend to know where the bottom is, but I'm not buying these yet. I think this is a good question. Not yet. Elon here also saying, Ryan, today and tomorrow are down. Remember, tomorrow we have the JOLTS openings in the morning, but on Wednesday we get the CPI. Elon here thinks that might be the catalyst to bounce here today. That's interesting. Giancarlo asking, what are those horizontal yellow and blue charts on the right side of the screen called? So you're talking about this study here. It's called Volume Profile Visible Range. So if you want to see what that looks like, Volume Profile Visible Range. That gives you the, quote, volume shelf volume sticks there, those horizontal bars. Okay, let me see if did I clean up everything there. Gary saying, I'm not buying dips on long-term holds yet. I think they come down more. Gary, this is exactly where I'm at. 13, aren't you? What are some of your ad levels for some of your long-term stocks? Do you have one for the broader market? Are they different for the individual names?
Well, some of them I started already nibbling on. I mentioned, like, I started picking up Dollar General a couple of weeks ago. So that's one of the ones that I started buying. Haven't bought any since then, but that's one of the ones. I also really small amounts of VOO as that continues to weaken. I like to buy it into strength, but just very, very slowly, and I ramp up as it continues to go down. That's really all I've done for the time being. I did pick up a little bit of Broadcom and AMD, because I think those, as far as semis go, those are pretty hammered. So I just have a little bit of those because I needed to broaden out more of my tech holdings. So that's really it. Haven't really been a big buyer of anything. Just started easing into some positions, and I already was positioned with some of these names already going into this sell off.
Okay, and I like that here. Buffalo by Bicycle, gotta buy on the way down slowly.
Yeah.
So we always talk about, well, the market's going to sell off, and we're going to get discounted prices. And in a perfect world, you'd back up the truck and you'd buy, Apple, Tesla, Celsius, whatever stock it is that you love. You'd buy it at the low. But the reality is that it never works like that. So this scaling in on the way down while maintaining your long approach, I think that's really important. I think the key takeaway from our little discussion here right now, at least I haven't started that yet on some of these names. I guess on some name, like the smaller names that were already beaten down, like ONDS, I was adding on. Portillo's, while that was down, getting smacked in the eights, I was adding on those that were down here. But some of these bigger momentum names, I'd really like to see them come in a little bit more. I'd love for SPY to get to 10%. That would be something else.
Elon asking if we've tried CCI versus RSI. CCI, if you're referring to the stock.
No, he's referring to the study, Commodity Channel Index. And he's saying that this study does a better job than RSI in determining momentum. You can see here that these charts are very similar. So I actually have looked at this. You're not the first person that I've had mention this. I'm not as practiced with CCI. Yeah. This is one thing that I would say, though, Elon, shoot me an email if you don't mind. And let me know all of the different studies that you use in conjunction with this. I'll go ahead and throw my email here in the chat. One of the things that I could do here is I can actually create another chart here that has just those studies on, and we can kind of compare that and make it kind of a lesson in what's going on here. But no, he was talking about the Commodity Channel Index.
Felicia telling us that Redfin and Opendoor are very different types of companies. One has agents and one is a flipper.
Okay, so thank you, Felicia. Felicia, I absolutely love this. I was just hinting earlier about how excited I am to hopefully talk to one of our real estate experts in happy hour. And you showed up here in the pre-market or in the morning show. So awesome. So it looks like then Opendoor, no possible sympathy play here for Redfin. That's awesome. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Felicia.
Yeah, we did not talk about SNOA that Daniel is asking about. Let me see what that looks like. And then I think Robert was looking for levels in MU.
Here's your SNOA. This is actually a pretty orderly move higher here on the SNOA. And by the way, Solar Edge might be trying to take out some new highs. If it can get through 18 there, Solar's been strong all day.
Yeah, it looks like this isn't really moving on any news, but it is up 65%. This may not have moved in the pre-market to where it was coming up on our scanner, so that's probably why we missed it. And then as far as MU goes, okay, so I remember talking about this one last week, or maybe it was a week before, about how this kind of just goes back and forth between the 200 and 500-day SMAs. Right now, it's trading beneath the 500-day SMA, so it lost it today. So would think that recapture is going to be imminent here soon to stay in line with the way it trades. Otherwise, if we continue to see further weakness beneath, it moves away from the 500-day SMA. And I think we're going to run into a situation where it may end up gap filling down to about 81. That might be where it finds some support. And there's a little bit of a gap fill back from early February of last year if we lose the 84 handle. That's what I'm seeing with Micron.
I can confirm that X is working here. Just saw a tweet that I liked. The dip keeps on dipping. We've often talked about a dip that you should not buy because it can go lower. Maybe we are in that here. Still fairly orderly in terms of this move down here, though. VIX still holding here at 2660. Apple new lows. I'll tell you what, this Bitcoin down here right at about 80K, literally battling with the 80K level. Micron right at its 500 here.
Yeah. Amazon too cheap. Let's see here. Oh, it's under 200. How about that? Lost its 200-day SMA.
Lost its low from Friday too on Amazon.
Coming down into some consolidation from that's going to be about 185 to 190. There might be some support in there. No guarantee that it is, but that's a pretty interesting range. So I would keep an eye on that. 185 to 190. See what happens in there. If this continues to come in and it just goes right through those levels, then I would start looking at the 500-day SMA as a potential bounce spot, and that's currently at almost 165.
Is he giving you sub 190 for Amazon there?
Well, that's
PTGX might be breaking out from its pre-market highs through 55 here. This thing's up 41%. The results of its phase 2 trial. Wow.
Was that all from this morning?
Yeah. For PTGX?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this stock was $38 on Friday. A Protagonist Therapeutic shares trading higher after the company announced top-line results from its phase 2B Anthem UC study of, wow, not going to try to pronounce that, in ulcerative colitis. The study met its primary endpoint in all dose groups evaluated. So looks like ulcerative colitis study here. Good data across the board. Ticker's PTGX.
It looks like VRN still trying to make a comeback. Volume seems to be slightly increasing.
You said VT, what was that?
No, it's VRN.
VRN. Oh, that's that one off the movers list here today.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to move higher, but and the volume looks a little bit better than it was earlier. Lots of things just kind of sideways right now.
Yep. And market's still hunting for some new lows here. 564 now on the SPY as that continues to move lower. I wanted to check in on the volume here. Volume at 18.5 million. I think we probably get above that 50 million again here today by the time the day's all wrapped up. A lot of stuff really kind of disappeared off this list here. Hopefully everyone stayed safe here today.
Yeah, looks like MLYS also trying to. The volume doesn't look great on this one. Some of these look like they're trying to move higher, but with not so great volume.
Here's your market overview. Quick look in here. Healthcare, staples, energy, and Utes. Really the only pockets of strength here. Communication services, IT, and financials getting hit the most. I guess consumer discretionary in there as well.
What is a Ute?
Utility.
I know. I'm just trying to do a My Cousin Vinny reference.
Oh, damn. I should have honestly, I should have got that one. I'm a little disappointed in myself now, 13. Now that you mentioned that.
Well, yeah, that HMR still pushing up. It's a good mention there. Sorry, who said that? Jane Smith? So I think somebody else also said HMR also getting it done. SPY could break through 560 today, and that's a big level. Let's see here.
Financials actually look like they might take another leg lower. Apple, sorry, I left it on the heat map. Shouldn't have done that. Apple also taking another leg lower here. NASDAQ still not bottomed. SPY not bottomed either. I think we might have some more to go here.
We are really really selling off here. Still not down 10% yet. That on the SPY, that's going to be at 551.91. So a little ways to go, but much closer than we were before. Yeah, what the hell is a Ute?
See the breath really kind of expanding to the downside here. Not great across.
Sweet one mentioning EQNR. I can't remember what this is. Equinor. What is this? Oil.
Norwegian-based oil and gas. It's going to be from your energy sector there. Nike's still holding strong. Boy, where's Smoke Tuna when we need him? This call that really wasn't going to break 70 and go lower is really holding up so far.
Well, if lower rates is what Trump wants, that's crashing the markets. Going to be the way to get it.
What do you think we get in terms of cuts this year? I'm assuming you're on the side of cuts, not hikes. I guess I should check with that first.
I am on the side of we don't see any rate decisions in the first half of this year.
I'm with you on that. I know there's been some talk about maybe a cut in May. Baloney, go away. I don't buy that at all. I think the earliest we get a cut is September.
Could be September the earliest that we get any rate decision. I mean, it's looking like it's going to be cuts, but I'm just going to stick with my assessment that no rate decisions in the first half of the year. So ask me again in a couple of months.
Okay. Well, I mean, fair. I don't think we're getting them until the back half of the year. Redfin is a buyout, Aman. Redfin shares trading higher after Rocket Companies announced it will acquire the company, in an all-stock transaction valued at $12.50 a share. So $12.50 is going to be your top. This is not a buy for me, but that's what's going on here with Redfin. That's why it's up 70% here today. TRVI, this was one of the movers here. This might be curling. Yeah. Jay says, I disagree. Fed funds say we get a cut. When? May? Jay, is that what you're saying there? May? When do you think we get that first cut?
Yeah, I mean, we might get a cut later on in the year. I think that's possible, but my whole assessment right now is just no rate cuts in the first half. Fed wants to be data dependent. If they are going to do any rate cuts, it's going to be, probably an emergency rate cut, because I don't think they're going to just have, the data that we're getting from now until May and be like, yeah, this is good. Let's go ahead and make a decision on it in June. I just don't see that happening. I mean, maybe if the market absolutely gets destroyed, there might be something like that, but it's from now. I just don't think that's happening. We're not going to get any rate cuts in the first half of the year. Maybe you're right.
Amazon 191, Apple 225, SPY into a 263. Excuse me, a 563 handle. Jonathan says, I think the narrative will switch fast. I agree with you, but the question is going to be, when is that? And that I don't have an answer for. Take care of yourself, Wisdom. Great for you to join us from Hawaii and provide lots of laughs.
Aloha, Wisdom.
Aloha. Take that. We are coming up to Trader Bacon here. I'm just going to send you folks over there. And don't forget, we got a T3 Tuesday coming up tomorrow. And don't let this market really sour you here, especially if you're like me and you live in an area where you are about to get some gorgeous weather. Oh, be sure to enjoy that, folks. You too, Kevin. Take care of yourself. Great to have you here, man. Great to have you here.
Take care, Kevin.
MU, Parker, Thinkorswim Indicator saying MU has a double bottom at 84 and change there. Are you a buyer at 84 and change, Parker? That double bottom, are you buying that support level? Kind of waiting this out.
On what time frame?
I think he means the daily.
at 84. What?
Let me give his
84, 88.
I'm sorry, I'm just going off of what he says, so I don't have answers for you. MU has a double bottom at 84.88. So
Yeah,
he's talking about this and this right in here.
Well,
got you.
I would say it's on the verge of becoming a quadruple bottom, because that's about the same area that you got these lows from August and September of last year. I wouldn't discount those. I mean, I see that your level makes sense to me. 84, 88. I think there's some prints even lower than I think 84 even looks like a pretty good level too. But that looks like another area that it's been testing support at since August. That would be the level of breakdown that I'd be watching for, because we're losing the 500-day SMA, and if we extend away from that down to 84, that would be. Let me see here. That'd be almost 5% off of where we're at now. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was trying to sneak in there, but I figured it probably made more sense for you to just wait it out. Real quick, your Nike, maybe move through the 200-day. So I know we're, kind of waiting for some sell-off here, waiting for some setups here. Nike possibly moving through the 200-day here. Okay, 13. We're out of time here for today. Any closing thoughts here for the group? I know it's been, kind of ominous start to the week here. Any closing thoughts for the group?
Yeah, like some folks were mentioning, this might be a good day to go outside and touch grass. It's a very slow-moving market right now. If you see opportunities, be careful. Do your trading how you will. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the time outside, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good day, folks.
Yeah, sounds good, 13. Thanks again for all your efforts here today. Also, going to close here with this, because we've been reminding people about this, and XIII has been no stranger to this. The dividend account is officially positive on the day. So again, I apologize for not being as active as we normally are. The market is going to dictate the environment that we're in. But if you've been joining us for a while now, you should actually have a pretty robust portfolio of some of those dividend stocks. So folks, we're out of here for today. Stay green, stay safe, stay safe. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow.